This feudal lord is highly scientific. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. Garros returns. Butler Billy is dead. Before Lin Ke could react, the figure of the dark girl disappeared again, as if nothing had happened just now. Uncle Billy. Uncle Billy. A piercing pain came from Lin Ke's heart. So I have already integrated into this world, haven't I? Everything here is not a game, not a novel, not a movie. I'm Lin Ke, right? Tears unconsciously slid down Lin Ke's face, and feeling in the fortress suddenly felt a pain in her heart, feeling an extremely strong sadness. She suddenly looked to the north, as if she saw the heartbroken Lin Ke through the city wall. Lin Ke, my child. Feudal muttered to herself, then closed her eyes, tears streaming down her eyes. The nervous Tower didn't notice this at all. On the battlefield, Lin Ke's followers and knights rushed towards the purple poisonous frog one after another, and then were either killed or seriously injured and fell to the ground. Nyx, whose rabbit fur was soaked with blood, had also fallen into a coma because of the exhaustion of the doctor power and was unable to treat others. In the end, Lalita used her giant hammers in her chest to withstand and block the last blow of the purple poison frog, and then fell into a coma due to serious injuries. Only Lin Ke was left in front of the purple poison frog. I didn't want to use this skill. Lin Ke stood up and gently put down the headless body of Butler Billy. He took a deep breath and felt that his lungs were cut by a knife, and the pain was unbearable. However, this kind of pain was far less than the pain in his heart. His heart hurt too much. I can feel that this skill will cause great damage to my body. My body is too weak now, and I can't bear it at all. Lin Ke seemed to be muttering to himself, and seemed to be talking to the purple poison frog. His fists gradually clenched, and his nails dug into the flesh without knowing it. But, that's my Uncle Billy. Lin Ke's childhood memories were Furlong, and Tower, Billy and John. Among them, Butler Billy's meticulousness made up for Furlong's carelessness, and his kindness made up for the lack of Lin Ke's fatherly love. Yes, Lin Ke is a time traveler. However, when his body is at the level of a child, hormones, internal organs, etc. will also affect his mind. The love that a child needs is the love from relatives and friends. And Butler Billy's love for him is no less than that of Furlong and Tower. Then, the people of Azan, let's share the same fate with me, Lin Ke said softly. The purple poison giant frog shook its head. You don't know anything, so you should retreat. However, before he finished speaking, his expression changed. Lin Ke closed his eyes at this time, and his body actually stood up and slowly floated up. In his soul space, the energy of the leader bloodline was continuously pumped into the leader, and then merged into the leaf that represents the shared fate skill. At any time, every Azan person in the battlefield and fortress heard Lin Ke's voice in their hearts. Then, the people of Azan, let's share a common fate with me. The people of Azan, let's share a common fate with me. The people of Azan, let's share a common fate. Share a common fate. A raging fire suddenly ignited in the depths of the hearts of the Azan people. Summon. This is a call from their lord of Azan, their master Lin Ke. Their lord needs them. Azan. One person subconsciously shouted out 3 words. Then, countless people shouted out, Azan, Azan, Azan. Everyone in the entire fortress was shouting the name of Azan. Then, without anyone noticing, a drop of blood from their hearts oozed out of their chests, and then in an instant, gathered at Link on the battlefield. Countless drops of blood gathered into streams, and then such blood flows gathered around Link, turning into a blood ball that wrapped around Link. Even above the clouds, the beings such as Ov and Phoenix who were confronting each other also discovered the abnormality of the battlefield. What kind of power is this? The Phoenix looked at it indifferently, with a hint of curiosity in its eyes. Lin Ke, my Lin Ke. Aofu saw Lin Ke's appearance, whispered a few words, and then took out the thunder staff. Oh, newly promoted legend, are you sure you want to fight? The joint agreement of Nasan did not say that legends cannot fight each other. The Phoenix sneered and warned Aofu, you are just a newly promoted legend of level 21. Yes, I'm just a newly promoted legend of level 21. Aofu laughed at himself, which made the phoenix's eyes more mocking. However, the next moment, Aofu's body began to spew purple lightning, and the thunder staff turned into a thunder hammer. But, I'm also Lin Ke's teacher. As he said, Aofu's body turned into a thunderbolt and hit the phoenix. HMPH, you don't know what you can do. The phoenix sneered, and gently flapped its wings. A ray of crimson flames hit AOF. Wait until you have a legendary skill. The flame was only a ray, but it directly knocked AOF, who was flashing with lightning, away. The lightning of the thunderstaff dimmed suddenly. AOF vomited blood, and the various secret spell arrays painted on his clothes also shattered in an instant. However, the next moment, AOF, who looked like gold paper, spewed lightning again, and rushed towards the phoenix. Boring. Purple poison, go ahead. The phoenix no longer paid attention to AOF, but continued to observe Lin Ke below with interest. The purple poison giant frog only stepped forward, and quacked after hearing the phoenix's order, opened its bloody mouth, and swallowed AOF into its stomach, and then returned to its original position, as if nothing had happened, just like a frog swallowing a mosquito. Seeing this, the other monsters were shocked and marveled at the terrifying skills of the purple poison frog. However, they stopped paying attention to Aofu, and continued to pay attention to Lin Ke below. At this time, Lin Ke closed his eyes tightly, opened his arms, and his brown hair fluttered wildly. All the blood outside his body was absorbed into his body in an instant. Then, he opened his eyes. A blood red. There was no pupil, no white of the eye, only blood red. At the same time, Lin Ke felt boundless power. This feeling, is it only level 15? Lin Ke looked at his palm, and felt slightly disappointed. However, the next moment, he looked at the purple poison frog in front of him. You killed my Uncle Billy. Lin Ke's voice was indifferent, and his body turned into a red light, and appeared beside the purple poison frog. Quack. The purple poison frog was about to say something, but Lin Ke directly punched the purple poison frog on the top of its head. Bang. Lin Ke's fist was swelling with blood, and he actually hit the purple poison frog into the ground. The ground cracked inch by inch. Fortunately, the arrival of the purple poisonous giant frog had caused the Azan people to fall all over the place, so this attack did not cause any harm to any of the Azan people. You will die. Lin Ke looked indifferent. With one hand, hundreds of slightly blood-colored air blades condensed out of thin air, cutting towards the body of the purple poisonous giant frog like a slow slicing. Quack. Stop. The purple poisonous giant frog looked horrified, and could hardly resist Lin Ke's strength. He could feel that Lin Ke's level was not as good as his, but he was so much stronger than him. Stop. Lin Ke sneered, and the air blade continued to cut. With the blessing of powerful force, the pressure in Lin Ke's air blade has reached a very high level, which makes the air blade sharper. The purple poisonous giant frog bulged its abdomen, and circles of air spread out from its skin, forming a series of airtight protective shields. However, Lin Ke waved his hand lightly, and hundreds of air blades surrounded the purple poisonous giant frog, and then all attacked a point in the purple poisonous giant frog's gas shield. Puff. After just a few dozen strikes, the gas shield was broken, and then the skin of the purple poison giant frog was easily cut open. The purple poison giant frog widened its bulging eyes, stretched out its 3 claws, covered its already cut head, and then its swollen body collapsed. Then, Lin Ke looked up, stretched out his right hand, grasped the annihilation staff, and then rushed towards the sky. On the ground, some monsters dared to approach their battlefield only after Lin Ke left. On the ground, there were still many people who fainted, including Nyx, Lalita and others. Puff, puff, puff. However, as soon as those monsters approached, they were directly cut off by a series of air pressure blades. The surviving Azan people looked up at the figure rushing into the sky and cheered excitedly. That's Master Lin Ke. Master Lin Ke has become a god. Master Lin Ke has become a god. Nonsense. Master Lin Ke has become a legend. Right. But what's that stick in his hand? Fool, that's the life-saving thing given to Master Lin Ke by our ancestor Azanan. According to the news in the castle, there is only one chance to use it. Oh. On the ground, everyone was rejoicing, while Granizase was correcting what the people next to her said, looking proud. She knew that this was the news from Master Lin Ke. That is, the Azanan scepter in Master Lin Ke's hand was given by the ancestor Azanan, and it has the full force of the ancestor Azanan in it. It seems that their Master Lin Ke is using it now. Praise Azanan. A maid next to Granizase who was responsible for carrying gunpowder exclaimed sincerely. Yes, praise Azanan. Granizase now feels that the feeling that Azanan brings to her is even better than the feeling that the gold coins bring to her. Well, just a little better. At this time, Lin Ke had already flown into the clouds. Hundreds of magic beasts stood on the clouds. When Lin Ke flew up, he immediately attracted a lot of attention. However, most of the attention was focused on the scepter in Lin Ke's hand. What a powerful aura. The power of the deep sea. This is the power of the stars and the ocean of waves. The master. This is at least the master. The legendary magic beasts at the head spoke one after another, and their tone was filled with deep fear. The master. Level 28 is the master. Young man. The phoenix at the highest point spoke softly, looking at Lin Ke with narrow eyes. You. However, Lin Ke rushed up and didn't say much. He didn't care and directly led to one of the three forces in the Wand of Annihilation. Even if he was promoted to level 15 through the shared fate skill, there are so many legends here. If he said a few nonsense words, maybe even the Wand of Annihilation would be snatched away. So, whether it is a single attack or a group attack, just use it. Wow. In an instant, a terrifying dark force was released from the Wand of Annihilation. Darkness, unknown, fear, and incomparable pressure. It turns out, the power in the Wand of Annihilation is also the power of pressure. Lin Ke stretched out his hand and looked at the Wand of Annihilation in his hand, with a flash of enlightenment in his eyes. The Wand of Annihilation of Tarzik, the artifact of the ancient mermaid kingdom, is sealed with 3 full strength attacks of the founding mermaid emperor Tarzik, a level 28 master. It turns out that the full strength attack of the mermaid emperor is actually the power of the terrifying deep sea pressure. Skill deep sea fear. Lin Ke flipped his hand. In an instant, the huge pressure fixed all the monsters in the air, and they were pressed to the ground by the pressure from all directions, and could not move. Forget it, die. Lin Ke, who wanted to say something else, shook his head, too lazy to say more, and gently clenched his fists, and all the monsters below level 21 exploded into a bloody mist. No, don't. The phoenix let out a long cry, and a raging fire burned on its body, like a fireball, which temporarily broke through Lin Ke's deep sea pressure. Where is my teacher? Lin Ke stared at the phoenix with his blood-red eyes without pupils and whites, and his fists slowly tightened. The pressure on the phoenix became greater and greater. He didn't kill these legends. Very simple. Because he sensed the breath of Aofu, but couldn't see Aofu. Noble boy, I'm not your enemy. The phoenix exclaimed, and the flames on its body became more vigorous, but the deep sea pressure was almost motionless, still slowly tightening. No, you are all my enemies. Lin Ke's expression was indifferent. Where is my teacher? Azan, this is the plan of the kingdom of Gila. You are in trouble. The legendary purple poisonous giant frog opened its mouth and spit out a bubble. There was a figure rushing around crazily. It was Aofu with his hair and beard spread out. Gila's plan? Lin Ke narrowed his eyes and first waved his hand to break the shield that trapped Aofu. At this moment, he felt that his power was about to fade. It was too late. However, at this moment, 13 figures appeared out of thin air. 13 star level, each with a deep and majestic aura. Stop it, Lin Ke. This is just our plan. The leader was none other than the Great Prince. The Great Prince looked at Link with a serious expression. You have killed many of our monsters. I think you have expected this. Our monsters? Link sneered. Little Link, it is true. The Mist Banshee took a step forward and lamented. The King of the Gods, Zerniter, fell on the border of Azan. We want to use this incident to lure out the followers of the King of the Gods who have ulterior motives in the lava swamp, but many of the monsters have already joined us. Gila. Argula. Argula. Link laughed twice and pointed his scepter downwards. There, countless Azan people and monsters were still dying. Gila's plan is to make his people fight and die for your plan. Gila's plan is to make his people become victims in the conspiracy. Gila's plan. Whose plan is it? Is it the plan of the Gila people, or the plan of your royal family? Lin Ke's voice spread far away, almost heard by all the Azan people. Is this the plan of the Gila kingdom? The people heard Lin Ke's voice, and they couldn't believe it. At this time, the monsters also resumed their actions, because they were no longer restrained by Lin Ke, but they didn't dare to move. Monsters are not without brains, and even wild beasts have brains, let alone monsters. Even their monster kings were controlled by that human race. How dare they move rashly? This is the plan of the Gila royal family. At this time, the Azan people were boiling. Chapter 177. Garros returns. Or this was actually the plan of the Gila kingdom? Exclamation mark. How many Azan people died in the Great Wall Fortress due to this plan? How many families were broken? How many passions turned cold? How many consciousnesses disappeared? All this was the plan of the Gila royal family. The people's resentment was boiling. Angry, unwilling, and painful. They are civilians. They are the lower class. They are the stepping stones of society. They are ordinary existences in the Gila kingdom. But they are also people. They have flesh and blood. They have their own personality and soul. They have their own life, family, and life. No one likes to be a plaything at the mercy of others. Even if they have no choice. Even if they are still weak. Even if they can't help themselves. But they will still be angry and angry. They will yearn for freedom and equality. Do you feel it? Lin Ke felt the boiling public opinion, which was a powerful anger, and the leader in his soul space trembled slightly because of it. The death of civilians naturally has his value. The eldest prince looked indifferent, and was unmoved by the shouts of the Azan people. Lin Ke didn't want to say anything more, and his hands suddenly tightened. Then you go die. Your death is also valuable to me. Lin Ke didn't bother to listen to the eldest prince's words, and gently waved the scepter, and a huge pressure directly pressed on the eldest prince. What are you doing? The eldest prince's expression changed. It's meaningless for you to do this. The legendary Warcraft king who is really hidden in the dark is about to appear. The territory of the kingdom of Gila will expand to the ocean of stars and waves. It's meaningless for you to do this. As he said, a strong light burst out from the eldest prince's body, but it couldn't break through the invisible barrier at all. Lin Ke didn't even listen to the eldest prince's voice. The terrifying pressure from the deep sea directly crushed the eldest prince's incarnation. The eldest prince's incarnation died. Bang! A burst of light flashed, and the eldest prince's incarnation turned into powder and fell down, like starlight. What have you done, Your Highness, the Great Prince? Damn it, you humble and insignificant earl. The star-level avatars behind the Great Prince started to scold him directly, with different expressions, most of which were disbelief and anger. Lin Ke waved again, and the avatars were crushed again, turning into colorful light spots, powder, and liquid and falling down. Only the avatars of the monsters, the Dark Girl, and the Misty Banshee were left. Lin Ke, you are in big trouble, do you know that? The Misty Banshee sighed softly. Even liquor can't save you. I would rather die standing than live on my knees. Lin Ke's words were decisive, and then he looked at the weak Aofu. Teacher, help me take the Mist Lady down, and take care of Azan's people by the way. Lin Ke, teacher can still fight for you. Aofu's hair and beard were all erected at this time, and thunder was bursting in his eyes. However, the blood on the corners of his mouth and long beard and his trembling body betrayed him. After all, he had previously faced the phoenix and the purple poison giant frog, which were extremely powerful, and he had just been promoted to legend. So, Aofu was seriously injured. Teacher, take a rest, we still need you later. Lin Ke shook his head, and Aofu retreated. Then, Lin Ke looked at the Dark Girl again. What else do you have to say? Lin Ke's eyes were angry again. But Labilla's head was cut off by her. You may die, but I will give you salvation. The Dark Girl looked at Lin Ke seriously, and did not answer him directly. Forget it. Lin Ke felt that he couldn't breathe. But Labilla's death was not worth it. This Dark Girl was just a thug of the prince. He waved his hand, and the incarnation of the Dark Girl was also broken. Next, Lin Ke looked at the legendary monsters. Submit, or die. Lin Ke's eyes were indifferent. The monster kings were horrified. Lin Ke was too lazy to care so much, and directly threw out 12 contracts. These are all divine power contracts, which are not as effective as law contracts, but Lin Ke no longer has them. The previous ones were given to him by Lin Ke. However, the level of these divine power contracts is very high. The 9-headed monsters are all at the level of 21 or 22. There is no need to use the rule contract. Only the phoenix, the purple poisonous frog and the fiery red lion need to use the rule contract. I don't surrender. You killed my master. A huge mouse turned into a ball of blood mist as soon as he finished speaking, and its front teeth and other things were collected by Lin Ke. Even if these legendary monsters are dead, the things on their bodies are still treasures. Who else? I just haven't killed enough. Lin Ke looked at the other monster kings. However, he still underestimated these devout believers who wanted to avenge the dead king of the gods. 7 out of the 12, only 5 monsters were willing to surrender. These 5 were the culprits who surrendered to the kingdom of Gila and started the war. Lin Ke couldn't care so much at this time. After letting them sign the contract, he took them to the ground together. Feudal and Tower and others left the fortress one after another and began to cheer with the followers who had just woken up. Win. Win. Long live Azan. Master Lin Ke is invincible. Everyone was cheering. They didn't know what happened, but they knew that Master Lin Ke seemed to have won. However, before landing, Lin Ke, who was about to smile, suddenly turned his head and looked up at the sky. The sun was shining, and there were no clouds in the sky, but, how dare you? A magnificent and cold voice sounded in the sky, and the voice was high above, and could not be desecrated. At the same time, the whole sky was suddenly shrouded in the night, and a full moon quietly appeared, hanging in the sky. Count Lin Ke, do you know your crime? The voice of the moon goddess came from afar with the moonlight. Lin Ke was about to speak, but who would have thought that the moonlight would shine on his chest? The moonlight seemed weak and slow, but it pierced Lin Ke's chest in an instant. Moon goddess, domination level. No, don't. Lin Ke cried when she saw this scene, but the sound could not be transmitted at all, as if it was blocked by the moonlight. She wanted to come over to catch Lin Ke's body, but was blocked by the mist banshee. Rika, you will die if you go over there. The mist banshee turned into a thick fog, covering Lin Ke's body, isolating and blocking Lin Ke's perception from the outside world. Puff. Lin Ke's body was pierced, and he fell to the ground, spitting blood from his mouth like money. He raised the annihilation staff in his right hand and aimed it at the full moon in the sky, trying to dance, but in the end it fell down powerlessly. Weakness, coldness, darkness wanted to swallow him. The sequelae of using shared destiny and the annihilation staff, the intense pain also attacked from his limbs like a tide, and the severe pain was eroding his remaining consciousness and reason. Lin Ke. No. Furlong and Tower ran over with exclamations, tears streaming down their faces as they ran. Count Lin Ke, you are tyrannical, and killed 12 incarnations of the royal family legends. As a punishment, I will also kill you. The moon goddess's indifferent voice came. There was no figure, only a moon hanging high in the night sky, quiet, dark and bottomless. As soon as he finished speaking, a thick moonlight shone down again, slowly, gently, and elegantly, aiming at Lin Ke's head. It was still as gentle and slow as before, as if it was not moonlight, but a feather. However, this soft moonlight exuded a chill. At this time, Feudal had come to Lin Ke's side, hugged Lin Ke, and gently pinched Lin Ke's face. She stroked Lin Ke's hair, that was stuck together with flesh and blood over and over again, tears streaming from her eyes, but she said in a gentle tone, don't be afraid, Lin, Mom is here, Mom will protect you. Lin, be good, Mom is here. And Tower didn't say anything, just stood behind Feudal, facing the pale moonlight with a firm face. The two women sat and stood, their weak bodies were shocking. However, it's not just them. Master, John is here to accompany you. John looked sad. Having lost Billy, the housekeeper, he did not want to lose Lin Ke again, at least not before he died. Mr. Lin Ke, you are my only light. The rabbit fur on X's body had turned from white to red. He also came to Lin Ke's side, remembering the dazzling and gentle light that Lin Ke radiated at the beginning. Master, Sophie should have been yours a long time ago. Master Lin Ke, I'm not afraid of death. I just don't know how to spend my gold coins after I die. Never mind. Little Lin Ke, I'm lucky to meet you, the teacher. I died for the Lord. I wonder if there will be poems about me in the future, Nassim. Hahaha, damn, my hammer is going to sweep all around now. No, all around. I'm going to raise my hammer to the moon goddess. Mr. Lin Ke, you are the leader of all workers. And my spiritual mentor. Master Lin Ke. Mr. Lin Ke, Master. Shouts followed the running of Lin Ke's followers and Azan's people. The moonlight was gentle and slow, while the Azan people were as fast as the wind. They were rushing over to Lin Ke, trying to use their bodies to help block the moonlight. Although their bodies might not be as effective as air in blocking the moonlight. Lin Ke tried his best to raise his hand, to lift the wand of annihilation, but in the end he could only move his fingers weakly. Blood gushed out of his mouth along with fragments of his internal organs, and he couldn't speak. At this moment, the moonlight was coming. Chapter 178 finally arrived. Human Covenant. The Emperor appears. The Great Wall Fortress. Countless Azan people gathered towards the center like grains of sand, and then hugged each other tightly. They were all men and women, old and young, rich and poor, noble and humble, and just wanted to use their bodies to form a wall for their master Lin Ke at this moment, a fragile human wall. No one wanted to use shields and armor to resist the moonlight, because in front of the moonlight those things were only as fragile as the flesh. Some closed their eyes, some had firm eyes, and some looked terrified. They didn't know if it would work. But at this moment, they were only willing to use their lives to prolong the life of their lord. Even for 1 second. This era is great and humble. Some people are born bright, but fall into the ugliest mud and use all dirty means. But there are also people who are born in dust, and are willing to devote all their strength to the sky for a little sunshine above. The Azan people are just dust. Whether they are civilians, low-level professionals, servants, or slaves, they are all dust to the strong. But they have a lord who is willing to provide them with sunshine. Their lord had fought for them, and now he would die for them. At this moment, they were no different. Humble ants. High in the sky, the figure on the moon seemed to be angered by the actions of the Azan people. So, countless moonlights fell again, aiming at the heads of countless Azan people. The moonlight was slow and gentle, but it had a clear target and was unstoppable. The moon goddess actually wanted to kill all the Azan people. The monsters on the periphery and the mist banshee who turned into a ball of mist all looked horrified. The moon goddess was crazy. But at this moment, something strange happened again. Boom boom. A rolling wave appeared on the horizon, sweeping towards this side like a long river. Who wants to hurt my son? Who wants to hurt my people? A powerful and domineering voice resounded through the world. Then the wave swept up and rushed straight to the full moon hanging high in the night sky. Moon, don't forget who your daughter's title all comes from. The powerful and domineering voice declared again, and the voice came from the waves that went against the sky. It was clear that the knights riding on the Gira bulls were running in the waves. The leader was tall and majestic, with a body of nearly 2 meters riding on the Gira bull king who was more than 2 meters tall, holding a huge and thick lance. He led nearly 50,000 troops, 2,000 knights, 300 guards and 5 followers, turning into a rolling river against the sky. Gyros, how could you come back? The moon goddess voice was shocked and angry, no longer so cold. Haha, old woman. Get out of here. Gyros laughed, and with the rolling river, he stabbed a lance into the void. In just a moment, the night sky seemed to break into pieces like fragments, and turned into nothingness, and the moon was hidden in it, and the moonlight was torn to pieces, and the world became bright again. Gyros also led a mighty army, and rushed down from the sky, arriving at the place, where everyone was supporting Lin Ke. Gyros was of strong build and muscular, but his armor was full of holes. He had 2 small mustaches on his upper lip, which made him look young, and with his piercing eyes, he looked wise and powerful. Gyros, I will definitely come back when I return. The night sky was broken by Gyros, and the angry voice of the moon goddess sounded again. However, before he finished speaking, Gyros spat on the ground, and interrupted with a sound of pup. Old woman, no need to wait. Do you think I'm easy to bully? As he spoke, Gyros pouted again, and then tore off a piece of magic armor on his body, and unexpectedly found a piece of old parchment in it. Then, Gyros' face was solemn. He gently opened the parchment, and then recited in a solemn voice, I, Gyros Nefarian Archim and Meteor. Taro Tigarazan. Garros read a long string of real names, and then continued solemnly, I hereby abide by the ancient human covenant, activate the covenant of Gila, summon the nobles and sages in the long river of time, summon the kingdom of ultimate black and brilliant white, summon the blood of Gila, come. After saying that, Garros brazenly tore the parchment in his hand into two halves. You actually? In the sky, the voice of the moon goddess sounded again, but before she could say anything, she was interrupted by a series of voices. Who disturbed our slumber? Era, this era. I saw the era of the human race. A long time ago. It seems like only yesterday. Iron and blood, war, and fire. Where is my invincible Tito family now? One by one, the erratic heroic spirits broke through the void and came in accordance with the covenant in Garros' hand. They were men and women, with great momentum. Each of them existed in the form of a soul body, floating around Garros, one circle after another, layer upon layer. Garros got off the Gila Niu, put the lance aside, folded his hands across his chest, and closed his eyes. The summoned heroic spirits began to look around. Such a strong resentment, such a noble quality. That dying child, is he the descendant of this little guy in front of me? Yes, very pure blood turbulence bloodline, which reminds me of an old friend. You mean Marshall Azan? Well, that's really a name that I miss. It was him who truly opened the blood era of my human race. Azan, turbulence, the turbulence formed by the blood of the human race, is mighty. These ancient beings who have passed away are just like ordinary people talking and discussing, one by one, with great interest. After all, they have been sleeping for a long time, and they have a strong desire to chat. And Garros still did not express his opinion, standing in place with his hands folded on his chest, like a huge rock standing. Not more than 10 seconds later, a huge black hole appeared not far from Garros, and the breath inside was boiling. I'm the Dawn Giant Sword, Woomian Gila. I lead the 10,000 feet of light and rule the eternal darkness. I'm the contemporary king of Gila. A tall and majestic figure appeared first, and announced his arrival with a grand voice. He had a resolute face, his medium-length blonde hair was flying wantonly, his left and right hands held two swords, one black and one white, at his waist, and he stepped out of the black hole with a solemn look. The Sleepless Emperor, Woomian Gila. The Sleepless Emperor had a majestic look. Although he looked ordinary and had no momentum, like a commoner, he had a sense of existence that could not be ignored, as if he was the center of the world. Following closely behind him were two women. One of them was wearing a black robe with an indifferent face and a slightly frowned brow. Behind her head was a floating golden disc. The other woman was tall and strong, wearing an ordinary cloth dress, like a big and strong rural woman, only her 5-colored hair was a little prominent. Behind the two women were 4 princesses and 12 princes. Further behind were the existences with deep momentum. These were the strong men with Gila blood in their bodies. The leader was a strong man with a big beard, wearing a metal boxing glove on his right hand and 2 strips of cloth wrapped around his left hand. As soon as he appeared, he looked around majestically, and then said in a low voice, I am the master of the mountains. My head, keep silent. Emperor Woomian suddenly turned his head, and glared at the man. In this kind of occasion, only Emperor Woomian can announce his arrival. What else can others announce? The originally majestic man was glared at by Emperor Woomian, and immediately shrank his head, and then hurried to catch up. This is the Grand Duke of the Mountains. Behind him came out one after another the other 7 Grand Dukes. One of the Grand Dukes looked elegant and easygoing, wearing dark blue clothes, standing there like waves in the ocean. It was the Grand Duke of Deep Blue. In addition to these two, the other Grand Dukes were also powerful and powerful. In this kind of occasion, some concubines who did not have the blood of Gila, and were not of high rank were not qualified to appear here. And looking at the clothes of these princes, princesses, and Grand Dukes, these people were more or less stained with blood and dust of various colors, and it was obvious that they had just come from a battlefield. Father, the incarnation of the Misty Witch brought Princess Rika over, and then returned to her original body. Princess Rika was crying, and called the Sleepless Emperor softly. Rika, go and rest first. The Sleepless Emperor waved his hand gently, and Princess Rika immediately fell asleep. He sent her to the Black Passage when she came, and then the Black Passage closed. At this time, Garros opened his eyes. Chapter 179, Judgment. Wumian's order. Everyone is here. Garros' body was only at level 12, but he still stood tall in front of these people. Behind him were circles of civilians and his army. Behind Emperor Wumian were a group of princes, dukes, concubines, etc. Above them, the eyes of the heroes were like torches. Little guy from the Azan family, why did you summon us to revive this time? A hero with white hair and beard spoke kindly. Garros nodded to the hero and stepped forward and said, my ancestor Azan has fought bloody battles for mankind since the mythological era and has preserved and continued the bloodline of the human race. In ancient times, he created the human kingdom for Gilari. In ancient times, we pioneered the secret of bloodline with the sage Andrew. It was at that time that, in order to develop bloodline and professionals, our bloodline degenerated from blood turbulence to torrent, and no powerful talents have appeared so far. Garros' eyes were like knives, sweeping across the body of the moon goddess fiercely. The moon goddess looked indifferent, as if she hadn't noticed. And right now, in this era, my Azan family has been stolen a lot of blood secrets by the moon goddess, and the law of Lady Tide was created. Garros pointed at the slightly weak Lady Tide. The people behind him had never heard of this, and they were all shocked. If it weren't for the terrifying momentum of those legends, they would probably have talked about it. And the people behind Emperor Wumian didn't all know these secrets. And my Azan family doesn't object to this, and we are proud of it, because we are the nobles of the kingdom of Gila, and we have our own glory of Azan. Garros' voice was powerful, covering all the noise. But, in the end, when I rushed over from the secondary plane, I saw the moon goddess attacking and trying to kill my only bloodline, and also wanted to kill the people in my Azan territory. Garros pointed at the moon goddess angrily, and no one on Emperor Wumian's side responded, and the Azans behind Garros became excited. Executioner. Butcher. Is this the god of my Gila kingdom? Scum. Disgusting thing. The Azan people tried their best to accuse and roar, but the moon goddess didn't care at all, and stood there coldly. Wait a minute. The kind and white-haired heroic spirit who had just spoken nodded slightly, and then his whole body suddenly collapsed into a round light spot. After the light spot shrank to the extreme, it suddenly expanded and expanded rapidly, expanding to the entire battlefield, and turning into an extremely huge cover. In the process of expansion, lifelike human figures and magical beasts appeared on the battlefield. From Lin Ke's charge to the interception of the purple poisonous giant frog, to Lin Ke's use of the annihilation staff, to fight against many legends, to the appearance of the great prince and other stars, to the moon goddess's knife-like moonlight. When Lin Ke led the people's knights to protect the masses, Garros laughed, it's worthy of my seed. Even Wumian couldn't help but nod, what a good boy. Then he was poked by the big and strong 5-colored dragon mother next to him with his elbow. When the giant purple poison frog appeared, many followers resisted, and Butler Billy died. Garros couldn't help but change his face. He didn't have time to look just now, and now he realized that he didn't see the familiar figure. Fortunately, Lin Ke had killed the giant purple poison frog to avenge Billy, so he fixed his eyes on the dark girl again. Your salvation? When I become a god, I will chop off your head. The dark girl's eyes were calm, as direct as usual, and she said in a puzzled tone, even if you reach level 21, you will become a legend instead of a god, and you can't beat me, even if you become a legend. Garros glared, you. Brother, don't be so angry. Wumian waved his hand, then moved his lips, as if he was saying something in the air. After listening to this, Garros' expression gradually calmed down. Next, Lin Ke rushed to the sky, confronted the legends, and crushed the incarnations of the great prince, and others with the wand of annihilation in his hand. Good crush. Garros laughed. Good job. Wumian narrowed his eyes, glanced at the gloomy prince behind him, and snorted coldly, you have been the regent for the past few months. The prince's face was pale, and then, finally at the last moment, Lika's crying, Feudal and others' protection, the unity of the people of Azan. The truth is revealed. The light shield quickly shrank, and turned into a ball of light again, and the ball of light turned into an old man again. Here, I propose a trial. Garros' voice was even more angry than before. D. As the Lord of Azan, as the husband of Feudal and Tower, as the Lord of Billy, as Lin Ke's father. During the time he was out working hard, how much pressure did these beloved ones of his endure, and how many blows did they withstand? The more Garros thought about it, the angrier he became. Finally, he spoke angrily. Judgment. The moon goddess slaughtered the people of the Gira kingdom for no reason. The moon goddess wanted to kill the kingdom's nobles. Judgment. The eldest prince used the regent skill to plot against the local nobles without authorization, to seize the fruits of the fortress's victory. Garros said a lot of things in bits and pieces, and it seemed that he even talked about the eldest prince's picking peaches. It took him nearly a minute to finish. The great Feudal. The eldest prince over there had a gloomy and pale face, and made a mouth shape, but no one saw it. The moon goddess also spoke in a cold voice. I killed Lin Ke, because he destroyed Wutarang's clone, and then killed the civilians of Azanan, because they offended me. I'm the moon goddess, and civilians who offend me should be killed. Garros sneered and looked at the sages. The sages closed their eyes, their spirits flickered, and they opened their eyes after a moment. They first looked at Emperor Wumian. After all, Emperor Wumian was the most outstanding, powerful and dazzling one in the entire history of the human race, so his opinion needed to be considered. Don't look at me, just deal with it casually. Emperor Wumian glanced at the moon goddess and the eldest prince indifferently. What you two did, mother and son, tell me in detail, when you return to the abyss. Deception and concealment will only earn my wrath. After that, Emperor Wumian waved his hand. All members of the royal family, follow me. You don't need to vote, or express your opinions this time. Oh, moon and light stay. Moon is the abbreviation of moon goddess, and light is the abbreviation of Prince Trang. Having said that, Wumian looked at Garros again with admiration in his eyes. Brother, your descendants are very outstanding, and that scepter belongs to that person, so, relax. After that, Wumian pointed at Lin Ke, who was lying on the ground and dying, and said solemnly, I order Lin Ke Azan to be resurrected immediately. I order all the innocent Azan people who died here to be resurrected immediately. I order all the monsters here to submit to Azan. I order the lava swamp to be incorporated into Azan, and become the earldom of Lin Ke Azan. After saying 4 commands in a row, Wumian tore with his hands, and a huge black hole appeared on the spot. Then he walked in again with the mighty royal family members. At the same time, a series of voices came out. Brother, don't blame her too much. Nasang needs a master and a legend. We have discovered another main plane. Well, Sophie's original song was changed to Territory of Destiny. The reason, you know. Chapter 180 Awakening. Lin Ke only felt, no feeling. Death, perhaps, is not pain, not numbness, not depth, not fear, not darkness. In the face of death, pain also represents a kind of kindness, representing the ability to feel pain. After death, there should be nothingness. In the previous life, death represented the extinction of physical vitality. The change of matter led to the death of the brain, that is, the loss of consciousness after the loss of brain signal transmission. And here, it is not far off. Lin Ke felt his soul. In addition to nothingness, he could not even feel the darkness. He could only feel his weak soul state, even without thoughts. Nothingness. What is nothingness? Open one eye, close one eye, then cover the closed eye with your hand, and use the closed eye to feel and see. It is not darkness, nor light, but nothingness. If there is no accident, people who die in Nasang are in this state, becoming souls floating in nothingness. Perhaps they are torn apart by mysterious storms, turbulence, explosions, etc. in the void, or perhaps they are swallowed by unique creatures in the void. Or, their former bodies may become the medium for necromancer, soul manipulator, and other spellcasting, which can retrieve their souls. After retrieval, they can be made into undead creatures, or swallowed as snacks, or released to return to the body. Most other souls cannot avoid the fate of dissipation. However, at this moment, Lin Ke, who was in the void, suddenly felt a powerful force pulling him out in an instant. A huge tearing sensation came, as if his body had turned into a piece of streaky meat in a meat grinder, being stirred, torn, and crushed. Pain. Too painful. However, it was precisely because of this pain that Lin Ke's consciousness returned all of a sudden. Severe pain. Pain in the bone marrow. The common fate made Lin Ke's body, which was only 6 years old, bear tremendous pressure. Every drop of blood from the Azan people went backwards in the blood vessels during the process of being absorbed by Lin Ke, cutting his flesh, blood, meridians, and internal organs, so as to give him super strength. However, the price of power is broken. In the severe pain, Lin Ke took a deep breath. Then he immediately felt a burst of severe pain from his broken lungs, and his trachea was filled with dust and blood, so that he coughed sadly, and coughed out some liver fragments along with blood. In pain, he opened his eyes, and tried to raise his right hand. When he thought he was unconscious just now, he did not let go of the wand of annihilation. I want to protect Azanan. Lin Ke vaguely remembered that before he fainted, it seemed that the moon goddess wanted to kill all of them. Now, he wants to activate the second power of the Wand of Annihilation, to protect all Azanan people. The 3 blood vessels in the soul space are dying, and not a single bit of power can be provided to Lin Ke. The 3 saplings are the embodiment of Lin Ke's blood, but now the blood vessels and internal organs in Lin Ke's body are all rotten into a ball. How can the blood flow? However, Lin Ke raised the Wand of Annihilation in his right hand with willpower. Protect. Protect. Azan. Blood was oozing out of Lin Ke's mouth, causing him to speak unclearly, but he still roared out the words protect Azan in a faint whisper. Protect Azan. Lin Ke's eyes widened with anger, and his originally tender and handsome face became extremely firm because of his eyes. He wanted to protect Azan. However, what caught his eyes was not the dark night sky and the full moon, but a middle-aged man with 2 small mustaches on his upper lip. Lin Ke's ears had been deafened in the previous battle, and he could only vaguely see the man's lips moving, as if calling his name. However, as he coughed violently, waves of dizziness filled his brain, which made him almost faint again, and his arms fell down in an instant, but he still held the Wand of Annihilation tightly. He opened his eyes with his strong willpower, and saw the people around him. Fron and Tower of his relatives, his teachers, his followers, almost all of them were there. And the Azans. They were all there. The sky was clear. Especially, this man. Lin Ke felt that he was lying in a broad and majestic chest, safe and comfortable. He couldn't help but relax and lost consciousness again. Warm, kind, gentle. Lin Ke seemed to have returned to his infancy, lying in the cradle, being gently rocked by Feudal, and speaking words full of motherly love. He didn't know how long it took, but he only felt that his body seemed to have regained strength, and then he felt like he was about to wake up from a big dream. Consciousness suddenly returned, and Lin Ke opened his eyes and sat up. Wow, who am I? Where am I? He looked around, and seemed to be lying in a water tank like an open coffin. An unpleasant and pungent smell came from the water, just like the smell of Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine. Lin Ke's memory suddenly returned, and he shouted, "Gyros, be careful of the moon goddess." He realized something was wrong after shouting. There was an echo. At this time, he could see clearly where he was. This was a strange room. His coffin was placed in the middle, surrounded by various herbs. 2 servants were guarding with hot water, apparently adding water to his coffin. The 2 servants saw Lin Ke sitting up, stunned for a few seconds, and then they shouted in surprise, "Master, you are awake? Great, the master is alive." One of them shouted excitedly with a hoarse voice, "Master is awake. Master is awake." While shouting, he opened the door and ran out with joy. His excited shouts could be faintly heard from outside the door. "Where am I?" Lin Ke asked another servant with some confusion. "Master, this is our Azan castle." The remaining servant blushed with excitement. "Azan castle?" Lin Ke's tone was a little puzzled. The servant's face changed. "Master, have you lost your memory?" Then he screamed in fear, "Master, master, have you lost your memory?" "Shut up." Lin Ke stopped the servant speechlessly. "I mean, whose room is this? I've never seen it before." The servant, who thought Lin Ke had lost his memory, turned pale with fear. He was relieved after hearing what Lin Ke said, and then explained, "This is a new room built by the master, just to treat you well." As soon as the servant finished speaking, a bolt of lightning appeared in the room from the window. The person who came was Aofu. At the same time, the aura of professionals rose up and rushed towards Lin Ke's room. Lin Ke finally woke up. Chapter 181 Garros' Gift. The Battle of Azan shocked Nassan. The Sleepless Emperor, the Moon Goddess Pantheon, the Regent Prince, the Lava Swamp, the Ancient Noble Covenant. One thing after another was revealed and spread throughout Nassan. Some secrets were only known or speculated by the top leaders of Nassan, but ordinary people didn't know so much. Most intelligent beings knew that there was a small family named Azan in the powerful Gila Kingdom, which crushed the conspiracy of a god in the Gila Kingdom in this war, and punished that god. Among them, the outstanding heir of this small family, who was still able to lead the knights to defend the territory and the people in the face of legends and gods, was particularly talked about with great relish. At the same time, the little man named Lin Ke shouted, "I will lead the charge." However, after the war stopped, all the intelligent beings in Nassan were much less enthusiastic about this matter, and those bards turned their topics to other places. In just over 2 years, this incident was buried deep in their memory. Perhaps one day in the future, when they hear this name again, they will be able to slightly recall the little human noble who led the charge. The history of Nassan is rarely driven or blocked by an individual. Perhaps Andrew's leg is one of them. Of course, the people of Nassan don't know that in just 2 years, the little noble who was almost dying has awakened. Coffin room. Lin Ke looked at the familiar and slightly unfamiliar figures in front of him, and was slightly excited. Alive. All alive. Great. No. Wait. Where's Butler Billy? Exclamation mark. Where's Uncle Billy? Lin Ke supported himself with his arms, and was about to stand up from the potion, but his arms and body were incredibly weak. Feudal hurried to help him, but the majestic figure behind her had already stepped forward, and wrapped Lin Ke in a soft towel, and picked him up. Little Lin Ke, Billy is gone. The middle-aged man with two small mustaches on his upper lip sighed. Hearing this, Lin Ke was silent. He just remembered that Butler Billy had died in that war. How is the situation in the territory now? After a moment of silence, Lin Ke asked subconsciously. His mind was a little confused now, but what he could think of in an instant was the safety of the people around him and the situation of the territory. But, Yahoo! Boss, your kid just woke up and wanted to take your power. A strange woman stood next to Rami and whistled at Garros with a playful expression. Garros, is this what your followers are like? Lin Ke didn't know why. He couldn't help but feel resentful towards the man in front of him. He guessed that this might be partly because of the resentment of Lin Ke Azanan, and partly because of the resentment of Lin Ke. Fortunately, Lin Ke would not lose his mind. He understood Garros, a father who worked hard outside. It's just that he was not used to shouting out loud. Moreover, Lin Ke just reacted subconsciously, thinking that the person next to him was Butler Billy, so he subconsciously asked about the situation in the castle. He forgot that Garros was the real king here. What's wrong with us? The woman's eyes glared. You want to call me aunt? Haha, my followers are great people. Garros waved his hand nonchalantly, stopping his followers' words. She is your aunt, my sister, Dawnblade Irene Azan. Dawnblade, Irene Azan. Blade? Lin Ke looked puzzled. Blade is not very practical on the battlefield. She is a trickster. You will know later. Okay, my son, come down and take a walk. Garros' big hand like a cat tail leaf fan gently patted Lin Ke's back, but he felt weird when he said son, just like a poor student who spoke other languages for the first time. Lin Ke also felt weird. First, someone called him son. Others also felt weird. Garros' people felt that their lord had a son for the first time, and Lin Ke's people felt that the omnipotent master Lin Ke had a new father. In short, it was very embarrassing. Lin Ke silently propped up his weak arms, first slightly moved his legs, and then got off the ground. A sore feeling came from his legs, which was the result of muscle atrophy after not using his legs for a long time. So Lin Ke subconsciously activated the power of night, but the next moment, a sharp pain came from his body, and Lin Ke bent down in pain. My son, don't use the power of your profession for the time being. Garros supported Lin Ke. Lin Ke immediately retracted the energy in his soul space, a streak of cold sweat left on his cheeks, and then said, why don't you call me Lin Ke? I will call you Garros first. Everyone was speechless. I thought Lin Ke was going to say something, but he was struggling to address him. but it was true that they were embarrassed to hear Garros calling him son all the time. And because of this relaxation, the atmosphere was much more harmonious. Okay, Lin Ke, my Lin Ke. Garros scratched his head. Looking at the little guy in front of him who was only above his knees, he had to admit that Lin Ke's brain was indeed better than the rumors said. Then, the atmosphere fell into awkwardness again. Finally, seeing that Garros couldn't say anything, Feudal slowly stepped forward and said in a gentle voice, Lin Ke, my body. I can't use it anymore, right? Lin Ke said this calmly. Yes, he was prepared at the beginning. Whether it was using the skill shared destiny of the leader or using the wand of annihilation. When the body is subjected to a force far beyond the limit, it is easy to have such consequences. In the words of the previous life, it is to break the meridians. Hearing Lin Ke's words, Feudal was stunned for a moment, then smiled and shook his head. No, it's not that I can't use it anymore, but you need to cultivate, and the cultivation will take a very long time. Hearing this, Lin Ke breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Ke, who originally thought that he would never be able to become a strong man in his life, was still a little desperate. Under this psychological premise, he felt much more comfortable when he heard that his body could recover. That's good. As long as it can be recovered, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Lin Ke, you will probably need many years to recover. You may not be able to use your power before you reach adulthood. Fortunately, you are young, and your body's recovery and growth rate are very good. With treatment, you can fully recover. At this time, Aofu also explained to Lin Ke. He stood among the crowd very naturally. Obviously, his social phobia had been completely cured. However, Aofu's expression was somewhat guilty and self-blaming. As Lin Ke's teacher, he did not protect Lin Ke well, and even needed Lin Ke's sacrifice to exchange for the final victory. Even as his disciple, Lin Ke not only promoted him to the star rank, but also to the legend. He really blamed himself and felt guilty. Well, I'm lucky to be alive. By the way, what happened at that time? Lin Ke knew that Garros had rushed back, but he had fallen into a deep sleep for 2 years, and had no idea about the situation of the battle at that time. Let us tell you. And Tower smiled, and then Garros hugged Lin Ke and brought him to the bed in his room. The other professionals were waved away to do their own things. Moon Goddess, do you remember? Because the plan failed, that woman was so angry that she wanted to kill you. Fortunately, I left the plane and rushed all the way to get here. Garros sat on the bed and began to speak softly, while Tower and Feudal supplemented from time to time. Lin Ke lay on the bed, listening quietly to everything that happened. In fact, he knew that Azan would succeed because the mission had prompted him, and he completed the mission before the final war began. However, the things that happened after he was dying and unconscious still made him unable to maintain a calm attitude. Azan's bloodline, so great! Exclamation mark. Azan originally meant blood turbulence. In the era when Andrew discovered bloodlines and professions, the human race's Azan Marshal could enhance the bloodline ability of everyone with a wave of his arm. It was terrifying. Now, the Azan family's control over bloodlines has disappeared, and it has become a bloodline that controls the rapid flow of water. Among them, the reason why the human race was in a weak position in Nasan is indispensable. When the human race of Nasan had just established a nation, the bloodline ability of the Azan family was outstanding, and most of the members had bloodlines similar to turbulent blood. At that time, the scholars headed by Andrew needed a lot of research materials to learn the characteristics of bloodlines and create more professions based on the characteristics of bloodlines to supply the human race. However, blood is usually silent, and bloodlines are not what flows in the flesh, but in the soul space. Only the ability of the Azan family can slightly affect bloodlines. So Marshal Azan waved his hand, and those brave and courageous Azan people went forward one after another to invest in the research on bloodlines. In the end, it was discovered that Azan's blood is a good bloodline catalyst that can catalyze the bloodline of the human race into an existence comparable to the 10,000 races of Nasan. That was one of the darkest moments of the human race, and it was also the time when dawn was approaching. The entire Azan family was determined. There was no time to slowly bleed, no time to slowly recuperate. That was the most critical moment. From top to bottom, countless people in the Azan tribe chose to drain their blood. During the blood drawing process, no matter men or women, old or young, they all went from ruddy to as thin as bones without a word and gritted their teeth. Finally, the catalyst was enough. The Azan tribe was also seriously injured, leaving only some tribesmen whose blood did not have the effect of the catalyst to survive. Then it was research. At the most critical moment, countless human races sacrificed in the experiment, when they were still in their prime, had no offspring, and were young. And finally, at the most critical moment, Andrew directly cut off his legs for the sake of the entire human race, separated his blood from it, and then spread it to those strong people. Because his talent is the strongest. First, the little toe, then it was not enough, then cut off the 5 fingers, and it was still not enough, then cut off the soles of the feet, then the calves, thighs. Lin Ke understood that Andrew did not separate blood, but genes. So, because of the sacrifice of countless heroes, the human race finally gave birth to many strong people. These strong men turned the tide and completely separated the human race from the Holy Life Alliance, and established themselves in Nassam. Most of the heroes died at that time, and turned into heroic spirits, to sleep in the long river of human time, waiting to be awakened. The condition for awakening is, when the human race is in danger again. In addition, the 12 families that made the greatest contributions to the human race also obtained 3 powerful human covenants. This covenant can awaken the heroes and summon the contemporary king of the Gila kingdom to come, either to help or judge. However, there are only 3. The Azan family is one of the families that contributed the most. 2 of them have been used, and the last one was used by Geros 2 years ago. But even as powerful as the Azan family, after using 3 human covenants, it inevitably declined in the end. In other words, except for the royal family, most families cannot withstand the erosion of time. In modern times, the Azan family was even more deceitful, deceiving and conspiring by the moon goddess, and a large amount of blood was drawn out to supply her fetus. In the end, the fetus became the Lady of Tide. The bloodline of the Azan family also declined again, almost more than when Azan was the Grand Marshal. When the young and frivolous Geros learned the news from his father, he resolutely embarked on a journey to the abyss, wanting to question the moon goddess. Although he didn't even see the moon goddess in the end, he still caused a lot of trouble to the moon goddess with the help of some methods. During the adventure, he also accumulated a lot of family assets and successfully returned Azan, who was almost a lord family, to the title of Viscount. Then, he borrowed money from the Grand Duke of Deep Blue, entered the plane, and was trapped in the plane by the moon goddess again. After listening to Geros' narration, Lin Ke let out a long breath, only to feel that his head, which had been sleeping for 2 years, was tired again. Knowing this information is not tiring, but Lin Ke is tired of thinking about the troubles these things will bring to Azan. So, who knows about Azan and Azan's contribution back then? Lin Ke asked with a headache. Don't worry, Kit, only those powerful people know. Geros laughed. Besides, with AOF here, who should I be afraid of? I'm not afraid of anyone. Ha ha ha. Why does it feel like my cheap father is a little reckless? Lin Ke seemed to be thinking about something. At this time, Geros touched the 2 small mustaches on his upper lip, and said proudly, also, little Lin Ke, I have prepared a gift for you. Gift? Lin Ke felt a little bit of anticipation in his heart, an indescribable feeling. It should be the feeling of a child who longs for father's love getting father's love, right? Since he was a child, Lin Ke has been deeply trapped in the plan of Antar and Fulan, and his life is in danger. In fact, he really hopes to get someone to take care of him. This also caused this hope to become the final resentment. Fortunately, he is rational and can suppress it. And now, a gift? Chapter 182 Earl Lin Ke's territory. Lin Ke's bedroom. Come on, Geros, you only know how to bully my little Lin Ke. Fulan hit Geros lightly, and then said to Lin Ke, little Lin Ke, this gift is from Emperor Wumian, not Geros. Fulan seemed to have regained his previous personality because of Geros' return and Lin Ke's safety. What is the gift? Lin Ke was curious. Geros smiled mysteriously, then stood up and walked to the balcony and opened the door. Look, this is the gift I prepared for you. Geros pointed out the window. Lin Ke was silent for a while and said, you beat down the entire Nasan for me? The atmosphere was awkward. No, that. Garros was choked by Lin Ke and scratched his head. It's the lava swamp. The lava swamp has become our Azan's territory. Then I thought, you definitely don't want to have another father above your head, so I'll just give you the lava swamp. What? The lava swamp is one of the 3 major gathering places for magical beasts in the entire Nassam. It is very wide. Not to mention the little Count Lin Ke. Even the Grand Duke Lin Ke would probably be enough. Such a large territory. Give it to him? Yes. Garros looked proud. As the most outstanding descendant of my Azan family, he almost died in the conspiracy of that woman, so it is right to give him some compensation. How did you deal with the moon goddess in the end? Lin Ke knew in his heart that the moon goddess would not be sanctioned, but he was curious about how she would be dealt with. Speaking of the moon goddess, Garros sighed and came back to sit on the bed. Lin Ke, you have to know that your father is only level 14 and she is a level 28 master. I will surpass her in the future. Lin Ke's eyes were firm. Garros nodded and said, in fact, the entire lava swamp is the explanation of this matter. Now all the monsters in the lava swamp have surrendered to the Azan people. All the monsters in the lava swamp have surrendered? Exclamation mark. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. What is the definition of monsters? Just beasts with magical powers? What about tree people, rabbit people and other races? And what is the meaning of surrender? Slaves? Or taking opinions to a certain extent? It's not that Lin Ke is arguing, but he really is to Garros. I can't help it. I always feel like I want to say a few words to Garros at any time. Of course, what Lin Ke asked was what he wanted to know. Because some definitions are too broad, it is not easy to operate. This should be, Garros stroked his mustache and guessed, maybe they are all our slaves. Don't use maybe. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Forget it, I'll try it in 2 days. Haha, okay, that's your own territory, you have the final say. Garros laughed. In addition, tonight's dinner will be very lively, haha. It can be seen that Garros is in a good mood today, or very good. Infected by Garros, Lin Ke couldn't help but grin. The entire lava swamp. It seems that he can do many things, do many experiments, and obtain many resources. By the way, but the deadline given by His Majesty Wumi is 50 years. After 50 years, the effect of submission will disappear. And Tower warned Lin Ke, little Lin Ke, you make your own decision. Yes, I almost forgot about this. Garros also slapped his head and then added, but it's okay, I have used my connections to hire a level 12 architect. Little Lin Ke, you can go build a castle after a few days of rest. Lin Ke was stunned. Why should I build a castle? He lives well in Azan. However, Garros, Feudal, and Tower all looked at Lin Ke with strange eyes. Little Lin Ke, you are the Earl of Lin Ke, and Garros is the Viscount of Azan. Of course, you have to return to your own territory. And Tower said strangely, I seem to have taught you these before. No. Lin Ke just reacted. Earl of Lin Ke. The last title given by Emperor Wumi was not given to the Azan family, but to Lin Ke. Good fellow. What a cunning fellow. A personal title will be gone when he dies. The family title can be passed down. Forget it. Be content. Lin Ke. Garros saw what Lin Ke was thinking at a glance. He stood up and looked out the window. It's not easy for the Emperor Wumian. There are countless planes outside of Nassam. Speaking of planes, Lin Ke remembered that Garros was trapped, so he asked, why are you trapped in that plane? Logically speaking, Garros led the army of Azan to a secondary plane and should be back soon. Humph, it's all that woman's fault. Garros snorted coldly. She went to approach that plane specifically to arouse the anger of those indigenous gods. She said, my people have entered the plane of you indigenous people, and I will destroy you one day. Garros touched his beard and said disdainfully, then her voice was heard throughout the plane. How cruel. This is equivalent to exposing Garros and the others. Why? Lin Ke was actually very confused. Did the moon goddess have any deep hatred with them? Maybe she's scared. Garros smiled. Scared? Lin Ke was even more confused. Was he scared of Garros, a little guy at level 10? It is said that your father is very similar to the former Grand Marshal Azanan, and his blood is the purest turbulence blood. and Tower next to him explained with a smile and rolled her eyes at Garros. Seeing the two flirting, Lin Ke felt uncomfortable all over. You guys go out, I'll take a rest. By the way, call John. So the three of them went out. John, how are the glass factory and paper mill now? Also, is Black Mountain still in the Azanan family? How is the store I asked her to open? How is the operation of the wonderful land? Lin Ke is now concerned about his own industry. After all, with Garros there, he doesn't have to worry about the compensation and resettlement of the war. John's appearance is almost invisible now compared to before, but Lin Ke can still find that John is a little taller, darker and thinner, and looks more capable. John bowed at this time, his face showing his joy at Lin Ke's awakening, and said, Master, we have expanded more than 360 paper mills, covering the entire Azan territory, and we can earn more than 100,000 gold coins every month. As for the glass factory, because of the master's order, we haven't expanded too much, but we have made a lot of glass inventory. At the same time, Ms. Black Mountain has become a level 10 merchant and has opened Lin Ke's store throughout the kingdom of Gila, selling paper and lottery games. As for the wonderful land, there is still no improvement. Speaking of the wonderful land, John was helpless. After Master Lin Ke fell asleep, we tried other people's books, but we couldn't perform that effect. Only Sophie's songs were good. Lin Ke understood. But because of this, Lin Ke had a lot of ideas. In terms of entertainment, he is not capable of doing one dimension alone, so perhaps he needs to recruit more professionals. At most, he can provide ideas and they can create. In terms of industry, the spread of paper represents the spread of knowledge in a certain sense. With the support of Liquor and Emperor Wumian, the paper-making industry and the glass industry can be further developed. There is nothing much to say about paper-making. The main thing is that after obtaining paper, Lin Ke can do a lot of things. Newspapers, comics, novels. Of course, in addition to paper-making and glass, Lin Ke also has to start preparing for other industries, including manufacturing, processing, smelting, textiles, mining and food industries. This is the cornerstone of a strong force. Go and call Watson and Granny Zase to see me, and Black Mountain should come as soon as possible, as well as Nyx, Sophie. Well, forget it, come one by one, tomorrow. 2 years behind, resulting in many of Lin Ke's ideas for the territory not being completed. But it doesn't matter, it's just 2 years. Yes, master. John bowed his waist, and then looked at Lin Ke expectantly. Lin Ke and John looked at each other and smiled. By the way, another cup of Gila milk. You know the temperature and the seasoning to add. Yes. John became a little excited, and ran out happily. Lin Ke seemed to have returned to a certain afternoon in an instant. He was writing a book and John was serving him. Unfortunately, Butler Billy was gone. Lin Ke lowered his head, and wiped the corners of his eyes. After a while, he whispered, Hey, teacher, are you there? Zizzy. Aofu turned into lightning, and appeared beside Lin Ke's bed, looking at him kindly. Teacher, it seems that you have become more proficient in the law of lightning. Lin Ke sighed. In the past, Aofu made a lot of noise when he appeared. But now, there is only a little electric sound. Yes, but I found more things about magnetism. Aofu, who was originally going to ask about Lin Ke's body, immediately focused on research. The power of magnetism is really too strong. It is even similar to thunder, I found. So, Lin Ke was also aroused, and began to discuss with Aofu, which lasted until midnight. At night, Lin Ke used magic power to soak his body little by little according to the method taught by Aofu. According to his understanding, it was like unblocking the meridians. What he had to do was to dredge all the meridians in his body so that the energy in the soul space could flow through his body, and then he could continue to use skills and magic. Of course, during this period, he could continue to meditate, so he could use it directly after the dredging was completed. However, after trying and estimating, Lin Ke despairingly found that it would take about 10 years to dredge. 10 years. However, the later it is, the faster it is, and it is estimated that it can be advanced by 3 or 4 years. In other words, he needs 6 to 10 years to dredge. Fortunately, he will only be 18 years old in 10 years, and there is still a lot to do without delay. What he has to do is not to be cynical, not to blame others, and not to be depressed. What should be done at this time is to calm down and start again in an orderly manner. Whether it was the 2 years of time that was missed, the many arrangements that were missed, or other things that were missed. No matter what was missed, ignore it if it is irreversible, and recover it if it can be recovered. Then start a new goal and a new journey. Early spring, humid. Lin Ke slept for 2 days and 2 nights, and only opened his eyes on the 3rd day, to see Feudal and others who were worried about his health. However, after an examination by the 8th level, witch doctor, attached to the Azan family, Lin Ke was not seriously ill, he just slept habitually, and it was a false alarm. However, after sleeping for 2 days, Lin Ke felt better, and could walk on the ground. After more than half a month, Lin Ke's body had fully recovered, but the meridians were less than 1%. Lin Ke, who was able to go out, ran to the lava swamp with Geros and the architect as soon as possible. The lava swamp is very big, very big. There are countless plants and animals in it. However, when Lin Ke and his companions stepped in, they encountered carnivorous and herbivorous animals, which were very docile and obedient to them, and could even understand some of their simple commands. It was the same for all the monsters of different levels. However, the geology would become soft. After going deep into the great swamp, Lin Ke only confirmed the surrender state and withdrew. Finally, he decided to build a city south of the Great Wall Fortress. Yes, not a castle, but a city. A castle is enough for Azan, and sometimes it is quite gloomy and terrifying. Building a city and attracting a large number of people may be better for Azan. He used to covet the Parrot City and wanted to build one himself. But first, there was no money, and second, there was no need. After all, there were not so many Azan people. But now it is different. Geros has returned, the debt of the Grand Duke of Deep Blue has been paid off, and because of Lin Ke's previous actions, batches of people from Nasan have come. In this era, people worship the strong, but they worship those with noble spiritual character even more. In other words, no matter in which era, spiritual will is the top priority for attracting people. Large numbers of people from Nasan poured into Azan's territory. Some came here just to see how powerful Lin Ke, who was in a coma, was. Some wanted to see what kind of place Azan was, and even settled here to have children. Some came to learn from Feudal and Tao's parenting experience. After all, they must have their own unique ways to raise such a talent as Lin Ke. Therefore, Azan's population was directly full. Some people lived in towns such as Parrot City, some lived in seclusion in some mountains and forests, and some lived in villages. But no matter what, the city residents that Lin Ke wanted were enough. And the residents he wanted were not necessarily pure humans. As long as they obeyed the management and laws and regulations, non-humans could come. Build a city. Don't build a castle, build a city. So Lin Ke began to conceive of building a city. Building a city in a planned way would be more reasonable than a city formed by some settlements naturally gathering together. First of all, the sewer. The stench of Parrot City before almost stink him to death. If one of the materials for the gunpowder later hadn't required the cleaning of fesses, it would have been even more smelly. But fesses can do more than that. Now, it seems to be spring. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 Nix. Where is the famous cattle farm in the kingdom of Gila? Azan. What can Gila cattle do? Bulls are wonderful mounts, and can even allow Geros to break the domain of the moon goddess when he leads the legion to charge. It has the power of a knight, the advantage of a professional, and the addition of legion strength. But mounts are also a very important part of it. Gila bulls are very similar to wildebeests in the previous life, that is, horses with long horns, while cows are like dairy cows in the previous life. Bulls are mounts, and cows produce milk. But in fact, every household will raise 1 or 2 cows, and bulls are basically idle. Although Azan's bulls were almost killed because of the previous war, every household actually still has a lot. In the previous life, what was the ancient society like? An agricultural society. The intensive farming method can produce more food than the extensive farming method in the West. And this is actually largely due to the plow. For example, the well-known curved plow. It's not that the people of Azan don't want to farm well, but since ancient times they have believed that farming is just to loosen the soil and sow seeds. Therefore, Lin Ke must first increase the grain production. With more grain, more people can be born, and with more people, more everything. The month of germination. In the morning, Lin Ke's bedroom. Mr. Lin Ke, I missed you so much. Nix, who was a head taller than Lin Ke, came in and hugged Lin Ke very quickly and gently. Damn, Nix, why are you losing your hair? Lin Ke exclaimed, but did not dodge, but hugged Nix back hard. Also, you've grown taller. Yes, Mr. Lin Ke. Nix stood back shyly. Our food in Azan is getting better and better. The magical beasts in the lava swamp are inexhaustible, and the meat rich in magic is very nutritious. Haha, that's good. By the way, how are you now? Lin Ke laughed twice, in a good mood. I'm now level 8, doctor, and poison master, but I have been waiting for you to wake up for skills. Nix's ears stood up straight, because you know better. Indeed. The combination of skills is very important. Nix's skill at level 2 is herbal treatment, and the subsequent skills are either specialization or enrichment. With specialization, it can only treat external injuries, but in the later stages, Nix may be able to reconnect the beheaded. With enrichment, in addition to external injuries, it can also treat internal injuries and various diseases. Well, there is no rush for skills for the time being. Have you also collected information on herbal medicine? And how is the training of nurses? Lin Ke is still very concerned about medical insurance, and he sat up straight when asking this question. As for herbs, I have traveled to dozens of villages in Azan in the past 2 years. I collected a book of herbs according to your wishes, and I also received the 5th level feedback. Speaking of this, Nix's eyes were full of gratitude, and then he said, I have trained 200 nurses, but everyone is a maid now. If the war comes again, they can be transformed immediately. 200? It's enough for the time being. Lin Ke nodded slightly. Nix was very happy to be recognized by Lin Ke, but then he became shy. His ears drooped down behind his head, and he said shyly that, Mr. Lin Ke, you say. Lin Ke smiled. Why have you become more shy in the past 2 years? Master Lin Ke, I like Lalita. Nix hesitated for a while, straightened his neck and said loudly, Lin Ke, what the hell? Exclamation mark. He remembered that on the battlefield 2 years ago, Lalita often teased the shy Nix, but now Nix. Oh no. Lin Ke suddenly remembered that the bunny man seemed to have grown up in 2 years. And it's still spring. I don't know why. Mr. Lin Ke, I really want to hug Lalita and bury my face in her. Well, then. But I don't know why. The more Nix spoke, the redder his face became, and his ears drooped softly behind his head. Shit. Stop talking. This is not suitable for children. Lin Ke raised his hand to stop Nix. What did Lalita say? She's hiding from me. Nix's tears came down when he mentioned Lalita, and his tear glands were even more developed than 2 years ago. She's hiding from me. Good guy. This is a child in the budding period of puberty. Okay, show me your herb encyclopedia first, and then go find Lalita now. Lin Ke was helpless. Lalita used to tease Nix because Nix was furry and shy. Now Lalita is playing with fire and getting burned. Okay. Nix turned into a white shadow and flashed out, and threw a thick book to Lin Ke. By the way, this book is made of plant fiber paper, and the cover is made of hard animal leather made of Gila cow hide, and even has a layer of fluffy velvet. There are 4 words written on it, Herbal Encyclopedia, written by Nix. Opening the book, the first page is a line of words, heal life, illuminate the world of suffering. Link Azan. Did he say this? Lin Ke shook his head and continued reading. Although it is a herbal encyclopedia, it is more like a notebook, recording the effects of many herbs that Nix has discovered. For example, the lucky flower has the effect of calming the nerves and helping sleep, and it has the effect of a stabilizer in many potions. For example, the sorrel has the characteristics of being highly toxic, but through the blending of several herbs, it can have a powerful therapeutic effect. Lin Ke flipped through it, and could sense the efforts Nix has made in the past 2 years. He traveled all over the territory of Azan, recorded various herbs that might be used in the future, and tasted all the herbs himself, comparable to Shenning. Of course, because of Nyx's skills, he was not afraid of being poisoned. However, there are two problems with the herbal encyclopedia. One is that the records are disorganized, and the other is that most of the records are ordinary plants, and there are very few plants with magical powers. It seems that the cultivation of herbs is imperative. Lin Ke gently twisted the paper in his hand and began to think about the cultivation of herbs and magical plants. After a while, Lalita came. She secretly opened a crack in the door, poked her head out and looked furtively. She was relieved to find that Nyx was not there, and then jumped in. Master Lin Ke, handsome boy, Lalita missed you so much. Lalita jumped up and kissed Lin Ke hard on the face. Swish, so soft and tender. Sister likes it. Haha, haha, ha ha ha. Lalita wiped her mouth and laughed. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You are still the same. Crazy. He rubbed his cheek that was sucked and hurt. What do you say to Nyx? Nyx. Oh hell, he is such an energetic rabbit man, but I can't handle it. Speaking of Nyx, Lalita seemed to have a headache, but Lord Lin Ke, you have to know that I'm not clean, alas. Chapter 184 Grandma Zisei's Great Discovery. Not clean. Lin Ke's face became more serious. Lalita, come here, can you? Lin Ke called Lalita over and looked into her eyes. Listen to me, Lalita. At this time, Lalita's eyes dimmed rarely, and her mood was also low. Master Lin Ke, but I'm not clean, and I'm not worthy of the favor of the god of love and joy. Not clean. Lin Ke knew that Lalita was sold to Pink Street by her father before, with the purpose of using the money to gamble and pay off debts. Lalita was given the profession of charming beauty by the people of Pink Street in a daze, and then she was trampled on by people between the ages of 8 and 16. After she grew up, Lalita fled from Pink Street and traveled in the southern part of the kingdom of Gila until she heard about Lin Ke's deeds and followed him. Lalita, why do you think you came to follow me? Lin Ke's tone slowed down, his eyes clear. Lalita couldn't help but be attracted by Lin Ke's eyes. You are good looking. Lin Ke, Pachi, because of your sentence lead the charge. Lalita laughed out loud. At that time, I was thinking how powerful and handsome a man must be to say this. So, spirit, will, and morality are what we should pay attention to, right? Lin Ke said earnestly, when disaster strikes, is it your peerless face and perfect figure that face the disaster, or the arms and chest that stand in front of you? Yes, handsome and clean people are liked by everyone. You passively accepted unclean experiences when you were forced to do so and could not control your own destiny, but this did not prevent your soul from being as pure as before. When we look at people, we often look at their appearance first, but what is important is the inside, isn't it? Do you have the determination to be loyal? Do you have a sense of responsibility? Do you have a companionship to stay with you for a lifetime? These are the criteria for determining whether you are worthy of being loved by the Nyx. Lin Ke spoke softly and slowly. Lalita's hands were originally twisted together, but she gradually relaxed in Lin Ke's words. Lalita, she is only 18 years old. Which girl doesn't have spring in her heart? Even funny girls have their own spring. Lalita deserves to be loved. Lin Ke looked at Lalita, and Lalita looked at him. After a while, Lalita seemed to understand something, then looked at Lin Ke and said shyly, then can Lord Lin Ke be with me? Lin Ke. John outside the door. 666. Lin Ke held his forehead. No, what are you doing? I probably don't want to fall in love in this life. Everyone looks like a child. How can I fall in love? And I always feel that he has no need for love in this life. I don't know if it's because of his young age and insufficient hormone levels in his body. Haha, I'm just asking for liquor. If you dare to agree to me just now, you're done. Lalita laughed triumphantly, then sucked Lin Ke's face hard, and then ran out happily. Lin Ke touched his cheek and sighed softly. He could feel that Lalita really had feelings for him, but because of her humble status and the fact that her competitor was richer, she buried this emotion deep in her heart. But he couldn't accept Lalita's feelings for many reasons. Master, Granny Zisei is here. Should I call her? John asked as he entered the door. Let her come. Lin Ke rubbed his forehead. hoping to hear good news. Granny Zase, like Lalita, was looking around, and after seeing Lin Ke, she waved outside the door. Master Lin Ke, come here. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why were they so sneaky? He got up from the chair and walked to the door. What's wrong, Granny Zase? Granny Zase came over and asked suspiciously, is your teacher not here? Vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar. Lin Ke was confused. Granny Zase looked at Lin Ke and whispered, your teacher is weird. He keeps sending me those flowers recently. Does he want to kill me? He has been sending me flowers for a year. I get a stuffy nose when I smell the flowers. Your teacher wants to kill me. Vertical bar, vertical bar, vertical bar. Lin Ke was shocked. Teacher Aofu has come to his senses? He is still strong and healthy. Well, Granny Zase, do you think it is possible? I mean, maybe, in this case, my teacher will like you? Lin Ke also replied in a low voice. What? Granny Zase widened her eyes, pushed the door open and came in, hunched over, with her hands on her waist, pointing outside the window and said, you are so good, Aofu. If you like me, why don't you chase me? As everyone knows, Lord Aofu has been paying attention to Master Lin Ke's room all year round, so those who assassinate Master Lin Ke are often killed outside the castle. Of course, Aofu will only notice Lin Ke's call or sense danger. However, even if Granny Zase called like this, Aofu did not appear. So Lin Ke was sure that AOF was really moved. Lin Ke didn't know how to deal with this twilight romance, and just felt a little overwhelmed. How could it be like this, after sleeping for 2 years? Grandma Zase, you come first. Don't worry about that. Let's discuss it first. How are you doing recently? Lin Ke pulled Grandma Zase, who was still howling there, and came to sit on the chair. Grandma Zase looked strange. Me? I'm fine recently. No, I mean, what have you been doing in the past 2 years? Lin Ke felt a little speechless. Sometimes Grandma Zase might have Alzheimer's disease, and many things she said were irrelevant. Oh, I remember it. Grandma Zase slapped her head. Gold coins. No, Master Lin Ke, I got it. The thing you said. Lin Ke was shocked. Nuclear bomb? It's that thing. You often say that. TNT. It seems to be pronounced like this. That thing stinks, but it's really powerful. Grandma Zase said excitedly, dancing with joy, like a big villain. Oh, that. Lin Ke wiped the sweat from his forehead. He had said so many things that he didn't know what Granny Zase had come up with. But it was great that Granny Zase could make TNT, which was a relatively safe and powerful explosive. Oh, by the way, I also made one, based on the table of element you mentioned. As a result, I somehow changed my job to the chemist you mentioned, and I'm now level 10. Granny Zase smacked her lips, and took out a crumpled piece of paper from her bosom. There was a magical fluctuation of about level 5 on it. Damn. Periodic table? Lin Ke's eyes widened, and he took it with trembling hands. He saw something similar to the periodic table of his previous life drawn on it. There were blanks in many places, but a few had been written. Lin Ke could even feel the correctness and rationality of this periodic table. How did you do it? Did you discover atoms and electrons? Oh, that's what Orf told me. Chapter 185. Building a city. The name of Dahuang. Periodic table. Lin Ke couldn't help but sigh. For some people, research and exploration are also a kind of fun, which is more interesting than eating, drinking, playing games. For example, Granny Zase is such a person. Granny Zase discovered atoms and electrons under the guidance of Orf. Based on the few words left by Lin Ke, she made an incomplete periodic table. Talent. Unparalleled chemical talent. Granny Zase's talent. It is not a talent in blood, but a talent in personality and soul. Granny Zase loves chemistry. She has loved it for dozens or hundreds of years, and she has also enlightened herself because of it. Love can withstand the long years. Granny Zase has liked the feeling of combining different substances and turning them into new substances since she came into contact with some earth and wood ash. Moreover, Granny Zase actually changed her job. The previous gunpowder made him work as a bomb maker, but now he has automatically changed his job to a chemist. Just like the doctor and poisoner of the Nyx. Chemist is also the first profession to appear in this world. The first profession in the world is so overbearing that it will directly squeeze out the original profession. However, Lin Ke's leader has a strong tolerance and did not squeeze out knight. Okay, what you have to do now is to save the periodic table and find as many chemical equations as possible. Lin Ke suddenly became interested and immediately wrote and drew on the table some of the more important and basic ones, such as electrolysis of water, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, sodium bicarbonate, etc., such as carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms, etc. Lin Ke was discussing with Granny Zisei. It was not until the evening that it stopped a little. At this time, Granny Zisei had filled dozens of pages with her notes, and her eyes were shining. It was really shining. Granny Zisei had a C on her head, which was the symbol of carbon atoms. This was her second skill, carbon. Through this skill, Granny Zisei's brain worked rapidly, trying her best to understand what Lin Ke said, to remember and learn. At the same time, Lin Ke did not explain everything thoroughly, but just said some possible directions, and let Granny Zisei go down to study and experiment by herself. The core characteristic of chemist experiment. It's not acid or alkali, it's not a reaction, it's an experiment. The conjecture was proposed by Lin Ke, and the experiment was completed by Granny Zisei, so Granny Zisei could get more feedback. Granny Zisei also knew what Lin Ke meant, and all the conjectures were probably valid. All she had to do now was to experiment. Grateful Granny Zisei decided that in the future, Lord Lin Ke's position in her heart would be even more important than a gold coin. After Lin Ke was tired, Granny Zisei also took her leave. A few days later, it was the day to build the city. In the study, Garrow sat at the table, crossing his legs. Lin Ke stood beside him, and there was another man standing beside him. Master Lin Ke, my name is Velen, and I'm an architect. Is this your plan? Let me see. Velen took Lin Ke's drawing paper and first exclaimed, is this the top grade Azan paper? It's really good. Azan paper is sold throughout the kingdom of Gila, and has a very good reputation. Cheap. Affordable. If it was just cheap and affordable, it would only be used by civilians. But Azan is divided into grades. Ordinary, fine, top grade, excellent and top grade. This made the nobles climax. Even paper can show my noble status? Damn, I must use the best. Especially those small nobles who lack a sense of identity. However, the price. Ordinary one piece of paper costs 1 copper coin, fine 3 copper coins, top grade 1 silver coin, excellent 1 gold coin, and top grade 1 needs 100 pieces. 100 gold coins for 1 piece of paper? Exclamation mark. Crazy? Exclamation mark. But this also caught the attention of the great nobles. Top grade paper is insect proof, wrinkle proof, moisture proof and fireproof. It is made of magical plants. Of course it has miraculous effects. Therefore, many animal skin papers in the kingdom of Gila were not bought by anyone, and they all bought Azan paper in Lin Ke's store. And now, the top grade Azan paper sold for 1 silver coin per piece in Architect Velen's hand is the top grade Azan paper sold outside. Well, Master Lin Ke, you are really a genius. The more Velen looked at the design, the more he felt experienced. Sewer. This idea was the first time Velen saw it. In all the cities on the Nathan continent, excrement is piled up and thrown outside the city, or simply thrown directly into the city, anywhere. There is no such thing as a sewer. If a sewer is added, Velen is sure that this city must be one of the cleanest and least smelly cities. How is it? Do you think it's okay? Lin Ke smiled. Yes, very much. Velen answered Lin Ke excitedly, and gave Garrows an affirmative look, holding the planning map with trembling hands. If this city is built by him, he may be able to get 2 to 3 levels of feedback. Earn money. Garrows breathed a sigh of relief after getting Velen's look, and his legs, that had stopped crossing, began to shake again, very much. Of course, Mylin is the smartest person in the whole Nassam. It's just planning a city. Lin Ke glanced at Garrows. His father's heart was in his throat just now. He also understood Garrows. As a father who is away from home all year round, Garrows would still have doubts, no matter how others say, that Lin Ke is smart. Only after seeing it with your own eyes, and seeing it more often, will you get used to it. I roughly calculated that the stones needed are iron white stone and red maple leaf stone, and the wood is all from the trunks of the purple tree. Lin Ke took out another piece of paper with a bunch of raw materials densely written on it. It's about 37 million gold coins. Can all the materials be obtained? 37 million gold coins? Exclamation mark. Garros stood up in a hurry. He didn't know how much it would cost just now. Why so much? Exclamation mark. Lin Ke and Velen turned around and looked at Garros, full of surprise. Garros scratched his head and sat down again. Very good, very good. The materials must be the best. Velen, tell me what materials are not available. I can go to the abyss to get them. Garros forgot that the paper mill left by his son has earned no less than 100 million gold coins in the past 2 years. Excluding the share given to Lin Ke, there are still more than 60 million gold coins. He was used to being poor, so he was a little surprised all of a sudden. These are all easy to make, but the sticky soil you mentioned, Lin Ke, I've only seen it by the river in the territory of Mance. Seeing Garros sitting back down, Velen began to look at Lin Ke's material requirements one by one, and said to Lin Ke after reading them, Mance? Lin Ke and Garros looked at each other. Viscount Mance has always been Azan's mortal enemy, but since there is high quality clay, Azan can't be blamed. That Mance, it's really annoying. I'll go and beat it some other day. It's my second gift to you, the second gift for you to build this city. By the way, what's the name of the city? Dahuang. Double monthly tickets from 2100 hours to 2200 hours tonight. I will add more chapters and ask for monthly tickets by the way. Chapter 186, The Surrender of the Lava Swamp. Garros prepared for war, which really frightened the surrounding territories, especially Viscount Mance, also known as Viscount Mantis. The old Viscount Mantis had a feud with Garros' father, because a group of reindeer migrated from Viscount Mantis territory to Azan's territory. So, for this group of reindeer, the two corrupt families began to fight. Azan believed that, since these reindeers came to Azan, they belonged to Azan's prey and no one else could touch them. But Mance believed that these deer grew up by eating the grass in Mance territory, so they were considered to be raised by them. The verbal dispute was fruitless, so the war began. In the end, the old Viscount Mantis won, and later Garros' father, Lin Ke's grandfather, was seriously injured and died because of this incident. Of course, when Garros was born later, the old Viscount Mantis was also avenged by Garros. And now, the new Viscount Mantis has targeted Lin Ke more than once. In this case, then war. Viscount Mantis jumped up and down, then war. War. This process is not that simple. Garros needs to submit the war demands of the Azan territory to the Gila royal family first, and also submit this demand to a joint trial committee. This joint trial committee is composed of people from the Gila Kingdom, the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council, mainly to prevent professionals from meaninglessly killing ordinary people. There are a total of 9 people in this trial committee, which rotates every 5 years. Romera, who has been to Azan Castle before, is one of them. Any war matters must be submitted to the trial committee. This trial committee was also founded by the Gila Kingdom and Andrew. Other wars that have not passed are unjust wars. Like the monsters in the lava swamp before, they just took advantage of the loophole. Now there is no Butler Billy. Although Garros can read, he has no literary talent, so it is best for Lin Ke to write it. After writing, Garros will be fully responsible for the war matters. It's just a Viscount Mantis, so it's not time for Lin Ke to take action. Lin Ke focuses on building the city. The sun was shining brightly. Lin Ke led Butler, John, Doctor, Nix, Bard, Rami, Knight, Lalita, Architect, Velen, and a small group of knights into the lava swamp. This was Lin Ke's first time in the swamp. As he approached, the swamp naturally gave off a powerful aura. The King of Warcraft cry. The high-pitched cry of the phoenix resounded throughout the lava swamp, and the Kings of Warcraft soared into the sky and flew towards Lin Ke. Phoenix, purple poison giant frog, lava lion king, green water python. Those that Lin Ke had seen, those that he knew, those that he had never seen, and those that he didn't know all rushed over and arrived in an instant. Your Highness Lin Ke, the lava swamp welcomes you. The phoenix landed first and humbly lowered its head to show its submission. Your Highness Lin Ke, the purple poison giant frog tribe is ready to pledge allegiance. Your Highness Lin Ke, the green water snake tribe is your loyal slave. Your Highness Lin Ke. These big or small colorful monster kings were extremely humble to Lin Ke. Some of the monster kings Lin Ke had never seen before, and they were the monsters that had not joined the phoenix to avenge the king of gods. For example, an extremely huge queen ant was an ant god that grew up from a monster ant following the path of a god. All the ants in the great swamp were her believers. These monster kings had no grudges against Lin Ke, but under the skills of the sleepless emperor, they now submitted to Lin Ke. I came here this time to build a city in the great swamp, a big city, very big. When Lin Ke saw the phoenix, he thought of the people who had died. He didn't know that except Billy, everyone else had been resurrected. He just turned his face cold. At the same time, I will open a road from the south to the north of the great swamp, a road for trade. Your Highness Lin Ke, the entire great swamp is your territory, and I'm willing to serve you. The phoenix looked the most humble, and its relationship with Lin Ke was the most entangled. After all, it was one of the main forces that initiated this conspiracy, and it was also working for the prince, but that was before. Now, in order to prevent Lin Ke from killing it, it must be humble. After all, Lin Ke still has its law contract. Life and death are controlled by others, and it is still the kind of person who is afraid of death. Otherwise it would have died and been killed by Lin Ke 2 years ago. So, it must be humble. The phoenix lowered its head. It only dared to look at Lin Ke's shoes. Raise your head. Lin Ke's cold voice came, and the phoenix couldn't help but raise its head and saw Lin Ke's eyes. You, be my temporary mount, and take me to visit the great swamp. Lin Ke's eyes were indifferent. This phoenix is more useful alive than dead, and can be used as a temporary means of transportation. The phoenix looked at Lin Ke's indifferent eyes, trembled inwardly, and said softly, yes. So the phoenix lowered its body. Lin Ke raised his legs, stepped heavily on it, and stood firm. The monsters felt cold in their hearts. This true king of the lava swamp seems to be hard to fool. Lord Lin Ke, although we all submit to you, I hope you can give us respect. A majestic yak spoke in human language. My bloodthirsty Ironhoof tribe hopes to live freely. The bloodthirsty yak had a legendary arrogance. After all, he did not join the previous conspiracy, and he also looked down on people like Lin Ke who became rulers because of their backstory. Lin Ke stood on the back of the phoenix, turned his head, and looked at the bloodthirsty yak, and said indifferently, from now on, there is only one voice in the great swamp, that is my voice. If you don't submit, you will die. As soon as these words came out, the faces of all the monsters changed. If you don't submit, you will die. So domineering. After saying that, Lin Ke took out the wand of annihilation from the space ring, waved it, and revealed a trace of dominance inside, and then said, the Azanan scepter given to me by my ancestors has one last chance to be used. Do you want to try it? One more time. Exclamation mark. The last time. The Warcraft kings cursed in their hearts. I believed your lies. It was reported from Azanan Castle before that this Azanan scepter can only be used once, and it seals the full force of Azanan's ancestors. Once it is used up, it's over. As a result, now the Azanan scepter in Lin Ke's hand actually comes again. Exclamation mark. What about the next time? The next time is also the last chance to use it? Haha. The Warcrafts are not fooled. Well, of course, we, the bloodthirsty Ironhoof tribe, respect the strong. As the only king of the great swamp, we should naturally surrender. Yes, surrender. The voice of the bloodthirsty yak was not embarrassed at all, but seemed very natural. Lin Ke smiled indifferently, but no legend is a fool. That's why he needs to establish the master-servant relationship and the iron-blooded hand when he first meets the monsters, otherwise there will be countless troubles later. Chapter 187, Choosing a City Site. Strange Monsters. In the end, all the monsters surrendered. Of course, Lin Ke also guaranteed that he would not interfere with their survival in a meaningless way. It was just a meaningless interference. As a price, all the monsters had to provide a certain number of populations for Lin Ke to choose from. What to choose? Livestock, mounts, pets, etc. There are too many biological resources in the lava swamp. Countless forces in Assen have long coveted it, but the elemental forest is considered the territory of the Holy Life Alliance, the Ocean of Stars and Waves is considered the territory of the Deep Sea Domain, and the Lava Swamp is the territory of the Gila Kingdom. In addition, the complexity of the swamp environment of the lava swamp has made many adventurers, travelers, etc. choose not to come here, but to other places. And now, the huge swamp resources will belong entirely to Assen. Lin Ke decided to develop this territory well. He sat cross-legged on the phoenix, and there were red flames floating on the tips of the wings, tail feathers, and head of the phoenix, which looked extremely holy. Ramir and Velant stood on the head of the green water python, while John, Lalita and Nyx sat on the broad back of the bloodthirsty ironhoof. Fly slower, mainly in flat areas, near this river, not too far. Lin Ke said loudly. So all the beast kings slowed down their flying speed. And in the perception of all the great swamp beasts, the sky seemed to have changed. The beast kings who usually rarely appeared, the gods and legends of various tribes, gathered together and flew in the sky. The mighty pressure made all the beasts unable to ignore it, and even affected the balance of the ecosystem to a certain extent. A red-spotted water tiger was about to hunt a watergrass buffalo, but who knew that they passed by and scared the watergrass buffalo away. And this red-spotted water tiger had a litter of cubs, and these cubs were likely to starve to death. After starving to death, there would be no less predators in this area. Similar scenes were everywhere. Lin Ke thought of the problem of ecosystem destruction just by seeing the red-spotted water tiger, so he asked all the monster kings to leave, leaving the phoenix, the green water python and the bloodthirsty ironhoof as the three beasts. Haven't we arrived yet? The place you said is suitable for me to build a city. They have been flying for more than 2 hours, and Lin Ke looked down and still saw dense jungle. It's almost there, Your Highness Lin Ke. That is a wide grassland, and the farmland, where the river passes is extremely fertile. Although there are several monster tribes around, they are naturally subservient to you. The phoenix suggested, and his voice was full of flattery. Look, why don't you go there to take a look? There is still an hour to get there. Okay, I know, take me there, and if possible, go faster. Lin Ke also felt that the place the phoenix said was suitable. Of course, he wanted to go and investigate it in person. Building a city has very high requirements for topography and other aspects, as well as climate conditions and even water quality. But for now, the place that the phoenix mentioned sounds pretty good, but it's quite far from the habitats of these monster kings. It seems that they are also afraid of being harassed by Lin Ke at any time. Lin Ke knows that, although these monster kings are submissive on the surface, they dare not deceive Lin Ke. After all, Emperor Wumian is behind him. But they can hide. Can't afford to provoke them. There used to be a group of wolves and some other animals in the grassland in the center. But without the tribe of monster kings, they can't decide whether their own tribe will stay or go. After flying for a few hours, Lin Ke finally saw the pretty good grassland. This grassland is located at the edge of the center of the swamp. A river flows through it. A small group of emerald green wolves are playing on the edge of the grass. Your Highness Lin Ke, this is a fernwood gold-eyed wolf. You see, the fernwood gold-eyed wolf's pupils are golden, and it has the ability to make plants sprout, which is a reflection of its bloodline. The phoenix introduced it attentively and tilted its wings to let Lin Ke see it better, but although they are precious, without a decent strong man, they can only be reduced to the lower level of the great swamp. It's like Azanan can't be the lower level of the human world if he has you. The phoenix complimented Lin Ke a little. Azanan has more than just me. Lin Ke was too lazy to tilt his head to look at the wolf below, and directly released a second level magic water mirror, one placed on the belly of the phoenix, and one placed in front of him, which was very convenient. Cry. The phoenix let out a long cry, and the rolling pressure swept below. The dozen or so fernwood gold-eyed wolves that were originally playing and fighting crawled to the ground in panic, trembling in front of the phoenix. Among them, the old fernwood gold-eyed wolf stood in the front, followed by the young and strong, and finally the pregnant female wolf and the newborn wolf cub. Awoo. The oldest fernwood gold-eyed wolf with a long beard stepped forward, knelt down and whimpered softly. The phoenix, the bloodthirsty barbarian bull and the green water python landed. Old wolf, submit to your new king. The bloodthirsty barbarian bull landed and declared in a deep and cold voice. The phoenix glanced at him and wondered why the barbarian bull had interrupted him. Awoo. The old wolf on the ground first looked up in confusion and then realized it after seeing Lin Ke, so he hurriedly bowed to Lin Ke. Lin Ke and others jumped off the backs of the phoenix. The ability of your tribe is to make plants grow faster? Lin Ke came to the old wolf and looked at the magic beast that was about 1.4 meters tall when he stood up. Awoo. The old wolf nodded. It was a level 10 magic beast and could understand the common language of Nasm. It lowered its body and stared at a small grass at its feet. Its golden pupils lit up and a force emanated from it, acting on the grass. The grass flashed with fluorescence and grew quickly, blooming and bearing fruit. Lin Ke squatted down, stretched out his hand to take the fruit in his hand, squeezed it, and the juice inside burst out. Lin Ke stood up, wiped the juice on his clothes, and then asked, "Do you all have this ability? For any plant?" Awoo. The old wolf nodded and shook his head. "Your Highness, all fernwood gold-eyed wolves have this ability, but it doesn't have much effect on some magic plants. This is mainly due to their level. Their bloodline is still very good." The phoenix explained on the side. It could see that Lin Ke wanted to subdue these wolves. "Can't give birth to magic plants? That's fine. Even if it just gives birth to ordinary plants, it's good." Lin Ke's eyes showed a trace of joy. The significance of plants to humans is to provide food, swings, tools such as paper, oxygen, etc. These fernwood gold-eyed wolves are excellent farmers and gardeners. And although this monster is called a wolf, it looks more like a herbivore, without a single canine tooth in its mouth, and looks docile and cute. Keep it in captivity. Keep it in captivity. Chapter 188, Architect Velen. In the small grassland in the Great Swamp, Lin Ke was surveying everywhere, followed by his followers, and then by the phoenix, fernwood gold-eye wolf and other magical beasts. "Master Lin Ke, this place is indeed very suitable for building a city." Architect Velen was next to Lin Ke, giving Lin Ke advice on building a city. "Very solid land, very safe river water." He held a small hammer with a faint glow in his hand, knocked on the ground here and there, and then closed his eyes to feel it. Finally, they stood at the edge of the grassland, at the entrance of the river. "Very good, it occupies a large area." Lin Ke was very satisfied with this. He wanted to build a political center, research center, technology center and commercial center. And as an agricultural center, entertainment center, and industrial center. The Great Wall is a military center. This place is about 20 kilometers away from the Great Wall, not far on here, just right. In this way, the distance here in the Great Wasteland City does not require a lot of farmland, but requires policies, talents, an environment, and food can be transported. Then it's decided, build a city here. Lin Ke immediately announced his decision. This place has beautiful scenery, water, and forests, and there are fernwood gold-eyed wolves that are suitable for plant researchers. It is the most suitable place to build a city. Then, I will repair the sewer first. Velen smiled and said, "Please Mr. Lin Ke, give me the stone holy grail." Lin Ke waved his right hand and took out the magic item that looked like a rock goblet in the space ring. This is the treasure that Garros promised to give to Velen as a reward for hiring him to build the city this time. An 8th level magic item. This rock holy grail has 2 cup rings. Velen held it expectantly, closed his eyes, and the power of Architect in his body rolled and boiled towards the rock holy grail in his hand. The rock on the rock holy grail fell off, turned into powder, and merged into the ground, leaving only a shadow of the holy grail held by Velen. Suddenly, Velen opened his eyes and shouted softly, "The rhythm of the earth." He opened his arms, and the shadow of the rock holy grail turned wildly, radiating grey-white light from it, and entering the ground. In an instant, the entire earth shook like a wave. Fortunately, the monsters on it had been driven away before, otherwise many would have died. But this wave would probably kill many more. After the earth shook, clumps of soil, rocks, etc. gathered in the air, and a huge cubic hole covering at least 8,000 square kilometers gradually emerged in front of him. In the sky, the soil and slag were circling around. Velen waved his hands in the air in front of the rock holy grail, and powerful forces flowed into it. The foundation of the earth. Velen shouted softly, and a stream of pure grey-white liquid suddenly appeared in the rock holy grail. Then Velen waved his hand again, and the energy in the rock holy grail was splashed out, and soaked into the flying soil in the sky. The characteristics of the rock holy grail have been brought to the extreme by Velen. I saw that the soil suddenly began to solidify, tightening inward layer by layer, and turned into a huge floor. This is the soil and foundation of the sewer of an entire city. Velen can control it at will with his own strength. It has to be said that everyone has their own specialty. If it was Lin Ke who did it, he probably wouldn't be able to achieve this effect at level 17 or 18. That kind of control over the soil. Velen is simply a behemoth that can move mountains. Just like birds can fly freely, while the most powerful flying fish can only float in the air for a short time. Behemoths can move mountains, and dragons can fly. Knights can charge, and architects can build cities. Architects, that's right. Lin Ke was very satisfied watching Velen control the piece of foundation that covered the sky and sun to slowly fall down, and then embed it into the ground tightly. The most difficult part is done, and the next step is to work slowly and carefully. Velen wiped the sweat from his forehead, and with a wave of his right hand, some stone chips flew out of the ground and reattached to the phantom of the rock holy grail, condensing into the rock holy grail. Mr. Lin Ke, this is for you. Velen returned the rock holy grail to Lin Ke. Lin Ke took it back. This rock holy grail was given only after the city was finally accepted, but it would also be given to Velen for use during the process. Velen was a good friend of Gero's and was trustworthy. I have to say that the rock holy grail is really good and very suitable for me. Velen was full of praise for the rock holy grail, just like a mage who had found a staff that suited him. You human professionals are much stronger than us. The phoenix couldn't help but envy at this time. As a legend, it rarely envies anything. After all, its existence is the object of envy of countless monsters. But it still envies humans. What is your profession? At this point, Lin Ke was a little curious. Monsters can also have professional jobs, but they are generally different from humans. My profession is flame bird, which is the bloodline in my inherited memory. The phoenix flapped its wings slightly, and a few flames emerged, but my power is more inclined to the ubiquitous wind, rather than the blazing earth fire. Limitations. The professions that monsters can choose are basically passed down through blood. Unlike humans, they have the right to choose after birth. Well, it's a good job. Lin Ke commented lightly. There's nothing special about it. Being able to become a legend is already 1 in a billion. Why bother about so much? By the way, I need to open up a road from here to the Great Wall Fortress, and from the Great Wall Fortress to Azen Castle. Lin Ke said again, I'll leave this to you. Okay, Phoenix? Having signed a master-servant contract, and being affected by the laws of the Emperor Wumian, the Phoenix naturally couldn't refuse. But it was still shocked by Lin Ke's generosity. Not only it, but also other Warcraft kings and Lin Ke's followers were shocked. Master, that's not an easy expense. John couldn't help but remind him. Lin Ke smiled. Don't we have the Phoenix to help? It doesn't cost money to ask them for help. Although he was smiling, Lin Ke's eyes were full of indifference. These Warcraft kings were accomplices of the Great Prince. It was a blessing that they were not killed. What if they just did some hard labor? Yes, we are your slaves. The phoenix bowed its head after being swept by Lin Ke's eyes, and the green water python and the bloodthirsty bull also bowed their heads to show their obedience. However, they were also thinking in their hearts that, as long as their own tribes did not contribute, they could leave this kind of work to those tribes without legends and gods. 3 years. I want this road to appear in front of me within 3 years. Lin Ke stretched out his finger and swept his eyes over the 3 monsters one by one. As for the materials for building the road, I will tell you how to make it. 3 years. Your Highness Lin Ke is really kind. The phoenix was surprised. 3 years. It can make it in a small month. The premise is that you don't disturb other monsters, don't disturb the peace of the great swamp, and protect the plants and animals on the road. Lin Ke began to say his requirements. There is no way. Environmental protection. Don't say that there is no need for environmental protection in the other world. Look at the construction of the Great Wall. There is no grass growing nearby. It looks like a desert. If it weren't for the blood and bones scattered later, it would have almost become a desert. Do a good job of environmental protection. Protect the ecological environment. He didn't want some animals and plants to become extinct because of him. For example, if the fishman had not been extinct, the fishman's roots could probably be mass produced. Living things were the most valuable resource in the Great Swamp. Chapter 189 Bright Tulips. There are countless races in the Great Swamp, which contains endless secrets and resources. Even legends like the Phoenix have not explored all the secrets of the Great Swamp, let alone how many magical beast races there are in the Great Swamp. What Lin Ke has to do is to try his best to protect the ecology here first, and then slowly explore the useful races that may exist in it. Your Highness Lin Ke, all the magical beasts along the way must be protected. The phoenixes did not understand Lin Ke's request. A human being asked them to protect all the magical beasts and plants during the road construction. The phoenixes looked at each other, not knowing what to say. What is the meaning of this operation? Rebellion? That's not right. Yes, all must be protected. Lin Ke nodded. You must know that the entire Great Swamp is my property now. The loss of any magical beast race is a loss to me. So that's it. The phoenixes understood what Lin Ke meant. Yes, Your Highness Lin Ke. The phoenix nodded and said, we will protect the magical beasts and plants along the way and let them migrate out. Lin Ke nodded slightly. Mr. Link, your kindness is indeed true. Velen, who was carefully constructing the city's foundation and sewers, praised him. His most mentally exhausting work, the foundation construction, had been completed. The remaining sewer and underground construction work was very easy, and he still had the mind to chat. Kindness? Maybe. Link didn't think he was kind, but he was quite kind compared to the local people in Natsum. Yes, you are kind, intelligent, and have noble knightly virtues. You dare to charge towards legends. How many young men in the kingdom of Gila are taking you as an example? Velen smiled and said, this is all thanks to Lord Rami. Indeed. After Link fell asleep, Rami passed on Azan's deeds to some of his friends through poems and stories. Those bards passed this information to their friends, and they also chanted and recited everywhere, and finally the whole kingdom of Gila knew about Master Link. It is my honor to follow Master Link. Ramal happily looked at Velen, who was praising him from behind, and he just felt that Velen was pleasing to the eye, no matter how he looked at him. Well, you did a good job. Link praised Ramal, and looked at John. So, has the population of our Azan increased? How about the business situation? Master, Azan has a lot more people. Parrot City has been expanded 3 times. John was full of pride. As long as it was related to the master, he would be proud. However, he scratched his head again, but I don't know much about the business situation. It's good to have more people. Link nodded. Mrs. Black Mountain should be here soon, right? Mrs. Black Mountain has been running around in the past 2 years. 2 days ago, she ran out to get the account book for Lin Ke to see and understand the general situation. Yes, tonight. John responded. Okay, let's go back first. I need to buy a lot of things and ask questions. Lin Ke looked at Velen. Mr. Velen, how long will it take? Velen estimated, about an hour. Then let's go around first. You do it first. Lin Ke didn't want to wait here. Phoenix, you fly in the sky to protect me. Bloodthirsty barbarian bull, you stay and wait. We are going. This time, he planned to walk. Looking from the sky is always not as practical as exploring step by step on the ground. But he didn't let AOF come this time, so he still wanted the Phoenix to protect him. Yes, Your Highness Lin Ke. The Phoenix nodded. Without them, even Velen couldn't survive long in this swamp. Lin Ke immediately took John and the others to prepare to walk into the swamp. It feels very humid here, and the clouds and mists lingering between the trees are probably poisonous gases, that is, miasma. But fortunately, Rama is here. Purity Song. Looking at the miasma in front of him, Ramal smiled and began to use his skills. The distant Orlan Lake is clear and bright, and the breath of spring revival lingers on the shore. As Ramal sang, a circle of white mist spread out from him, surrounding everyone and forming a ring. The miasma was isolated at once, and Lin Ke and the others breathed in fresh air before stepping into the forest. The grassland was bright, and the jungle was dim. The original jungle was very noisy, with the sounds of monkeys crying, birds singing, and wolves howling. However, when the phoenix flew, the sounds within a radius of 3 miles quieted down, and there was no sound. The legendary monster was on patrol. Who dared to shout? Lin Ke took out a first level magic sword from the space ring, chopped the grass leaves blocking the way, and looked for the plants or animals in his memory. Remember to tell me what animals and plants you see. You don't need to tell me the ordinary ones. Tell me the special ones. Lin Ke explained to the few people. John and the others didn't understand the reason, but they still obeyed. Next, it was a chattering trip. Master, look. This is a rare venomous snake. I have treated the poison of this venomous snake in the north of Azan. It is called yellow-haired lop-eared snake. Look, there are 2 hairs hanging down like ears on its head. Master, this blood-sucking leech tastes great. I drank it in the tavern when I was traveling in the Everfrozen court. It can be used to make the famous juice Bloody Mary. Handsome boy, come and see this flower. It smells so good. Master, look, what a fat animal. So fat, so fat. John, Rami, Lalita, and Nyx took turns to point out animals and plants to Lin Ke. Lin Ke immediately took out an empty notebook and the magic pen that Off gave him, and took out the photo stone to record. Yellow-haired lop-eared snake is poisonous, and may have medicinal value. Residents need to pay attention to safety, and can be captured for experiments. Blood-sucking leeches are the raw materials of some beverages. It is said that the juice fermented by the crushed leeches has a special taste, but there may be infectious diseases and parasites, so it is temporarily postponed. The blue fluorescent flower is initially determined to be non-radioactive, and has a special fragrance similar to lavender. It can be used as a raw material for perfume, and can be planted on a large scale. A certain magical beast has thick limbs, a fat body, a gentle nature, a larger body than a pig, and less hair on the body. You can try to raise it as meat and name it the fat beast. Lin Ke wrote it down one by one. These are all precious biological resources. After the fat beast is domesticated, you can study how to eat it. If it is really delicious and nutritious, you can study breeding technology and breed it on a large scale. Handsome guy, look. Lalita suddenly pointed to the front side. There was a light yellow tulip about to bloom in the dense grass. A strong magical fluctuation came from above, no less than level 10. Magic plant, light tulip. Now that he is here, and has seen it, Lin Ke immediately remembered the famous saying in his previous life, mine, all mine. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190, A Nest of Silkworms. No hurry, wait a minute. Lin Ke waved his hand. There are usually magic beasts guarding this kind of magic plant. Although he was now suppressed by the phoenix, and the magic beasts here were all submissive to him, and could not hurt him. But he wanted to see what kind of special magic beast could guard this light tulip from being taken away. Light tulip, a magic plant full of light element, can be used to make a variety of magic potions such as suspended light potion and bone piercing potion, with different effects. This light tulip is already level 10. This plant is very precious. If you can observe its living environment and find a way to reproduce it, you can plant it continuously. He remembered that in his previous life, he had a friend who was a doctor in the department of plants, specializing in the reproduction of flowers. Plants like tulips will leave bulbs underground after withering. Take out these bulbs and plant them in the soil in the autumn season. But it seems that no one in Assen knows this, and they will eat tulips before the bulbs are mature. At least Orth warned him that, if he encountered some good magic potions, he could just pick them and leave. Now, Lin Ke is not thinking about eating a magic plant, but about turning this magic plant into more and more magic plants, and industrializing it. Master, look over there. At this time, Rami seemed to have discovered something. Lin Ke and the others looked in the direction Rami pointed, and saw a dark green. What? Lalita was puzzled, and tried to open her eyes wide to see, but couldn't see it. Look over there, there is a small caterpillar. Lin Ke patted Lalita. On a big tree not far from the bright tulip, on the back of a leaf, There was a fat worm with a crystal body lazily eating the leaves. Originally, Lin Ke didn't see it, but the lucky blood in his mind jumped, so he saw it. What is this? John asked in confusion. He couldn't feel any fluctuations. It seems to be an ordinary little caterpillar. This kind of caterpillar is poisonous. Nix suddenly screamed, jumped up and hugged Lalita next to him, and his fluffy little hands were involuntarily, unintentionally, and involuntarily placed somewhere. The scene suddenly became quiet. Lin Ke, John, Rami, Lalita. Lin Ke glanced at Nix. Is this still the shyness from before? How come shyness turned into lust, shyness turned into face, and timidity turned into licking? He remembered that 2 years ago, it was Lalita who teased the shyness. How come it's the other way around now, and she's directly doing it? You're only 2 years old, Nix. Rogue. It's said that spring is here, and everything is revived. Moreover, the adulthood of rabbits is very short, and the same is true for rabbit people. It is said that in the star world, the reproductive capacity of rabbit people is second only to mushroom people and rat people. Ahem. No, I read it wrong. Sorry. Nix got off Lalita all of a sudden, coughed twice, and said shyly, I read it wrong. It should be non-toxic. Even if it is poisonous, aren't you a doctor and a poison master? What's there to be afraid of? Lin Ke was too lazy to point out this estrus rabbit. This is a green silkworm. I didn't expect to see it here. Well, it has a strength of level 12. Maybe it is the guardian beast of this bright tulip. Rama introduced, and then glanced at Nix. The characteristic is non-toxic. Generally speaking, only professionals who are relatively close to each other can sense each other's strength, or they can take the initiative to burst out their momentum. When this green silkworm did not burst out its momentum, Lin Ke and the others didn't even know that such a thing was there. Non-toxic? Nix nodded shyly. Yes. He didn't look shy at all. Damn, he has become thick-skinned. Who did he learn this from? Lin Ke was speechless, and then walked straight over. He has done experiments. No matter how he interferes with the actions of the monsters, he will not attract resistance from the monsters, such as pulling apart 2 mating pheasants, such as touching a tiger that just fell asleep. All monsters will not resist him and submit to him. It must be said that the Sleepless Emperor gave him a great gift, and this great gift was just the Sleepless Emperor's mouth. One of the benefits of being powerful. Silkworm, I need this tulip. Lin Ke walked over and whispered to the silkworm. Sure enough, the silkworm lazily spit out a silk thread, which pierced the tree trunk above, and then swung to Lin Ke's shoulder like a swing, rubbing Lin Ke's earlobe in a friendly manner. Mr. Lin Ke, silkworms are very good for the development of bad bloodlines, and the silk threads they spit out are also very useful. The Earl of the North became an earl by relying on the silk made by this silkworm. Rama explained again. Silkworm. Lin Ke took the silkworm off his shoulder and stroked it. This silkworm looks like a green silkworm. Very good. Silk. If he doesn't make this thing, he will be ashamed of his real bloodline. Silkworm, do you know where your own kind are? Find them all. Lin Ke touched the head of the silkworm and felt that the silkworm that died with a pinch in his hand was actually a level 12 existence. Garrow's was only level 12 6 years ago. Crack, crack. The sharp teeth of the silkworm moved back and forth, and then it spit out silk threads that pierced through trees in one direction again, swinging over, and stopped on a leaf, and looked back at Lin Ke, motioning him to follow. Phoenix, mark this tulip with your breath. This is mine. Lin Ke shouted to the top of his head, and then called John and the others to follow. Anyway, we are all looking for something, so it doesn't matter which direction we look. Along the way, we found some strange animals and plants, and Lin Ke recorded them regardless of whether they are useful or not. In the previous life, there were people who raised snakes, crocodiles, bamboo rats, scorpions, snakes, insects, rats and ants. Some are pets, some are used as medicine, and some are edible. They all have certain value, as long as they can be raised, traded, processed and reproduced on a large scale. Their economic value can be tapped. And the 12th level silkworm stopped after swinging for a while, waiting for Lin Ke on a leaf. Lin Ke and the others walked over and were immediately shocked by the mirror image in front of them. In front of me was a rather dark forest with dots of light shining through the leaves. forming a tyndall effect. In between, there were strands of thread, like spider silk, winding through the forest, reflecting faint light. At the same time, there were also huge granular fruits dotted among them like pendants, emitting faint light. What is this? Chapter 191 Wrecker arrives. Backstage. Mulberries. These are mulberries. And, hundreds of silkworms. Silkworms. Mulberries. This is for him to raise silkworms and real silk. Lin Ke was excited. This is a mulberry forest. And a group of silkworms. What he found before were all single ones, and it was very difficult to raise them on a large scale like poisonous snakes and leeches. But mulberries and silkworms are simply the magical silkworms of Nassim. The population here is also sufficient, and they can be raised on a large scale directly. Moreover, these silkworms are good for the development of bird's blood, and can also be used as feed for chickens. They are full of treasures. Silkworm, are you the most powerful one in your group? Lin Ke touched the silkworm on the back of his hand. This time, the silkworm did not do anything else, but nodded, confirming that it was the king of this group. There is a group of green silkworms here. I thought they were extinct. The voice of the phoenix came from the sky. It seems that it is also protecting Lin Ke at any time, and dare not neglect it. Phoenix, protect them. Lin Ke emphasized, this group has my protection. No wonder this group can only survive in such a dark corner. The strongest is a level 12 green silkworm. Although it is very powerful, if it does not find a suitable place to live, it will probably be eaten up in 2 hours. But when Lin Ke was about to step in here, the green silkworm king stopped him. Mr. Lin Ke, these sharp silk threads are already taut. If you step in rashly, you will be cut into pieces of meat. I bet that it will be uglier than the pieces of meat cut in the castle. Rami reminded Lin Ke. Is the meat in the castle cut ugly? Lin Ke glanced at him. I'll cook a few dishes for you to taste next time. It's our honor that Mr. Lin Ke has such elegance. Rami was cheerful, his fluffy hair was smooth and soft, and he spoke in a literary manner. He didn't look like a bard, but an elegant aristocrat, more elegant than Rami. Lin Ke was too lazy to argue with Rami, so he put the green silkworm king down and pointed in other directions. Let's go. Let's continue searching, find more and record more. He wrote down the location here, asked the phoenix to drop its breath again, and then walked to other places. It was not until the evening that Lin Ke returned with a full load, with 3 photo stones and a notebook full of records. Velen also roughly constructed the city's sewers, and later only the above ground part of the building would be used. Back to the castle. Lin Ke naturally came to the study. After all, he came here often, and was used to working in the study. Unexpectedly, this time, Feudal actually blocked the door, and everyone in the entire corridor was expelled by him. Feudal's cheeks were red, and she gently hugged Lin Ke. Little Lin Ke is back. Are you tired or thirsty? Let's go to your room. To drink milk, go back to the room. Lin Ke looked at Feudal strangely. Mother, why do you have to go back to the room to drink milk? I have asked John to get milk, and I have to go to the study to sort out things now. I'm very busy. As she said that, Lin Ke wanted to get out of her arms. No. Feudal screamed and stopped Lin Ke, her cheeks redder. She squatted down and tried to be serious, but she looked nervous. Little Lin Ke, you have to know that the study is your father's study. You can't just go there casually. Lin Ke was even more surprised. However, when he heard the voices of Antar and Garros looming in the corridor, he was silent. It was only 7 o'clock. He turned around and left, and slipped away. Little Lin Ke is so good. Remember to drink more milk, go to bed early, mom has something to do tonight, Feudal called softly, and then Lin Ke's steps became faster. Feeling, Deg. Lin Ke, back in the room. Lin Ke felt lost. Yes, spring is here. Everything is revived, and it is time for life and mates, to create the next generation. This is true for all races, and it is also true for humans. In his previous life, he was busy paying off his loans, and he had no time to fall in love and have 3 children. In this life, he is still busy with his career and making money. Thinking of making money, he thought of a super rich spendthrift girl. I will support you. That call seemed so childish and ridiculous to him, but it felt a little sincere. But he is only 8 years old now. Princess Lin Ke has not come. since she was taken away by Emperor Wumian. Lin Ke also notes that he is just an interesting playmate in Lin Ke's childhood. 2 years. It is easy to forget. Time is an existence that washes away everything, whether it is material or memory, emotion. When he is 16 or 17 years old, Lin Ke's body organs will mature, and perhaps under the action of hormones, he will also fall in love with someone. However, at this moment, when Lin Ke was thinking about what identity he would use to ask Lin Ke for help in the future, a loud shout came from outside. Lin Ke, where are you? I miss you so much. Woo woo woo. This voice. Lin Ke's eyes widened, and his body stood up involuntarily, and ran to the balcony. However, when he ran to the balcony, he saw Lin Ke's voice rushing to the study of Azan Castle under the guidance of a mist. Ah. This isn't Tower's scream. Fuck. Only 5 minutes. This is Garros's frustrated and embarrassed voice. What are you doing? This is Lin Ke's voice. Go, go, go. This is the voice of the Mist Banshee. Lin Ke sat on the chair with red cheeks, like a child who had done something wrong. In front of her was Lin Ke, who was speechless. I was wrong. I don't know what your father and others are doing. Lin Ke couldn't help but whisper to Lin Ke, her voice soft and sticky. Lin Ke couldn't help but said speechlessly, can't you come up from the first floor? You're in such a hurry. Aren't we used to going there? You always stayed in the study before. Lin Ke's face was red, and she felt that her face must be hotter than the bottom of the red dragon raised in the abyss. Okay, what are you doing this time? Lin Ke waved his hand. Anyway, it was Garros who was killed in seconds, not him, so who cares? Nothing, I just missed you. Princess Lin Ke stared at Lin Ke with her bright green eyes, and got very close, almost touching their noses. Lin Ke looked at Lin Ke's green eyes, and couldn't help but feel his heart beating wildly because of Lin Ke. Getting closer and closer. Just at this moment. Ahem, my lovely sister, I have to remind you that your father will not allow you to mess around during the estrus period before you reach adulthood. The Mist Banshee next to him coughed at the right time and warned. Hate. Lin Ke glared at Misty and threw herself forward to grab Misty's chest, but she only grabbed Mist. I hate it. You always do this. Hehe, you just can't catch me, so what? The Misty Banshee just stood there motionless, and Lin Ke couldn't catch her either. Humph. Lin Ke glared at her, and then gave Lin Ke's soft face a hard suck. Is this okay? Misty's eyes widened. Unbelievable. Lin Ke blushed. Chapter 190 To the Dark Girl's Request. What are you looking at? Lin Ke glared at the Misty princess next to her. You are not allowed to kiss him. He is mine. Misty looked at Lin Ke with disdain, and then focused on the following. I won't kiss him. Only children play the game of claiming sovereignty. Oh, then I'll go kiss Ruwen. Lin Ke said lightly. You dare. He is mine. Hearing the name Riven, Misty roared like a dragon whose tail was stepped on. TSK, give it to you. Only children play the game of claiming sovereignty. Lin Ke looked at Misty with disdain. That person is coquettish. I don't like him at all. I still like my Lin Ke. As she said, Lin Ke kissed Lin Ke's face again. As the saying goes, once there is a first time, there will be a second time. As long as it started, Lin Ke found that she was completely let go. Ahem. After Lin Ke and Misty's quarrel, Lin Ke also regained his composure, and his beating heart slowly returned to normal. Insufficient hardware does not allow him to be in heat. By the way, Rika, how have you been lately? Lin Ke began to change the subject, not wanting to talk about the issue of ownership. Husband and wife are equal, dear. It's not okay to provide food and accommodation, and it's not okay to be a gigolo. Me. I've been bored these past 2 years. Those nobles in the abyss are so soft. Azan is still interesting. By the way, where is Lalita? I have 2 novels here that I want to share with her. Rika was also very excited when she mentioned Lalita. Lalita? Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You tell me first. Tell me what happened after I fainted. Okay, you 2 little brats can talk slowly. I'll go talk to your teacher. Misty waved her hand, then turned into mist, and flew towards the balcony. Princess Misty, please. Lin Ke nodded, then looked at Rika again. You were unconscious? Alas, after you were unconscious, my father took me back, and then my eldest brother was locked up, and his job as regent was abolished. Second mother was also miserable, and was forbidden to accept new beliefs for 100 years. Lin Ke began to talk about what happened after he fell into a coma. This kind of internal punishment was only known to people inside the kingdom. A job was directly abolished. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. It was really miserable. The regent was already level 15 hundreds of years ago, and now I don't know how many levels it is. This job that has been operating for many years was destroyed, and coupled with the previous incarnation, the eldest prince suffered a big loss this time. Moreover, he drove the Great Swamp Phoenix and other Warcraft kings to attack, trying to lure out the traitor, but in the end the traitor was killed by Lin Ke. That is, those Warcrafts that were loyal to the King of Gods and unwilling to surrender. Of course, perhaps some of the Warcraft kings have dealings with some nobles in the kingdom, but these can't be found. Perhaps the eldest prince's plan is to take this opportunity to test the traitors in the kingdom. As for how many civilians and low-level professionals died in the process, he didn't care. So this time, the eldest prince was not wrongly punished. And the moon goddess was also miserable. Although she was already the master, it seemed that faith was very important to gods. It was quite pitiful that she could not develop new faith for 100 years. The king of gods died because of his lack of faith and exhaustion of vitality. Of course, it was only 100 years, and with the moon goddess's strength, she couldn't hurt her. But Lin Ke was too weak now and couldn't take revenge. Also, now the whole kingdom is using as in paper, and there is that lottery, which is so exciting. I like to play it so much. Lin Ke introduced everything about the past 2 years bit by bit. Listening to Lin Ke's story, Lin Ke felt that his heart suddenly calmed down, calm and comfortable. But what Lin Ke said the next moment scared him. By the way, the curse of the King of Gods left on you a year ago sent a message to the stars outside the entire Nasan plane. Lin Ke said easily. Lin Ke, who had been in a peaceful state, suddenly jumped up from his chair and drew his leg. What? Don't worry. Lin Ke rolled her eyes at Lin Ke. Although this is a curse, it is also a blessing. My father said that the King of Gods actually gave you a blessing to make you the new King of Gods. I know, but I don't want to. Lin Ke was a little speechless. This speechlessness was directed at the curse of the King of Gods. After all, he didn't want to be a god. I want to be a legend, not a god. Don't worry, it's just a message. Lin Ke pressed Lin Ke's shoulders with great force, pushing Lin Ke back to his seat, and took the opportunity to inadvertently kiss Lin Ke on the face again. Although the enemies that the King of Gods had driven away before will be summoned back. After all, the King of Gods is dead, and those ancient beings may want to come back to occupy Nasan. Lin Ke licked her lips and stared at Lin Ke's face. I just think that Lin Ke's face tastes really great. But, we have His Majesty? Lin Ke asked tentatively. Yes. Lin Ke nodded heavily. My father said that you are the bait, just in time to get rid of those miscellaneous people. Bait. Well, at least it's a live bait. Lin Ke felt a little helpless, and was also thankful that there was a strong man like Emperor Wumian who suppressed the contemporary Nasan. Otherwise, he would have died directly. Oh, I almost forgot. Darkness also asked me to bring you a message. Lin Ke remembered something again and hurriedly said to Lin Ke. Dark girl. Lin Ke's face sank. What did she say? Dark girl killed his Uncle Billy. Uncle Billy, who has taken care of him and cared for him since he was born. She said that Billy's soul will be kept for you until you reach adulthood. After you reach adulthood, you can go to the abyss to ask her for it. As for whether you can see him, that's your business. At this point, Lin Ke said angrily, I originally asked the darkness to give it to you directly, but I couldn't beat him. My mom and dad didn't support me. They said it was for your own good, so there was nothing I could do. Lin Ke said, secretly glancing at Lin Ke's face, fearing that Lin Ke would be angry. What? Billy's soul is with the dark girl? Lin Ke exclaimed. Uncle Billy's soul. So, Uncle Billy can be resurrected. Ah. Don't you know? Lin Ke was surprised. On the day you fought, my father came, and he resurrected all the dead as in and on the spot, but your Uncle Billy's soul was redeemed by the dark girl. If you can't defeat her after you become an adult, then your Uncle Billy's soul may be transformed into a petitioner of the Dark Kingdom of God and become a soul that has lost its freedom. Lin Ke scratched her head in annoyance. It's so annoying. You are 8 years old this year, and you will become an adult at the age of 18. In 10 years, how can you defeat the darkness unless you take out the divinity of Yang and absorb it for you? Lin Ke's brows jumped. This is even harder than defeating the dark girl! Exclamation mark. However, Uncle Billy can still be resurrected. This is really the best news. As for the dark girl, what your sister said should be that I can see her and ask her for it, right? Yes. It's too difficult to beat her. Actually, you don't necessarily need to fight. I will save up some manuscripts these 2 days and try to add about 10,000 words in 2 days. So is there a monthly ticket reward? Chapter 193, Accumulated Wealth. The Growth of Montenegro. Not fighting? Then what are you going to do? Lin Ke stared at Lin Ke with eyes wide open. Lin Ke smiled. If it is your father and the Dark Princess who want something, do we need to fight? No. Lin Ke shook her head and then said, but you are not a member of the royal family. What I mean is, asking her for it does not necessarily have to be done by force. There are many ways to obtain it. Lin Ke shook his head, but it is too early to say these things now. Lin Ke, I just want to ask you, who are the people who can ask her for Uncle Billy's soul? Who can get it? Lin Ke thought about it, and then counted. My father, my mother, my second mother, my eldest brother, my second brother, my third brother, and Uncle Mountain, Uncle Deep Blue. Lin Ke said a lot, and then looked at Lin Ke. They can all. Could it be? That's right. Lin Ke nodded. If he doesn't have what the dark girl wants, he can give others what they want, and let them ask the dark girl for it. What he has the most is actually the professional matching. I believe no one will refuse this kind of thing. But before that, he needs to have enough strength to protect his property. Okay, right. Lin Ke is not stupid, and she also understands Lin Ke's plan. She is pacing back and forth in the room. What should I take to ask for it? 10 million gold coins? Forget it, they are not short of money. How about stealing my father's sword? Well, if I can't steal it, I will be beaten. Or those godheads in the storage plane? No, they all know. Lin Ke was terrified when he heard it and quickly raised his hand and said, okay, Lin Ke, I will think of this method. Don't think about it. Steal the sword of Emperor Wumian. Steal the godhead. Even if you steal it, who would dare to take it? Okay. Lin Ke also felt powerless. Why don't I have anything? Everything I have comes from my parents. I have nothing. No, you still have shares. Lin Ke shook his head. You still have shares in the Azanan Theater. Have you forgotten? Do you remember the agreement you reached with your butler Curry before? As he said that, Lin Ke sat in his seat with a smile on his face. He was in a good mood when he learned that Butler Billy could be resurrected, and that day, all the people who died in the war were resurrected. He raised the milk beside him and drank it down. Yes. Lin Ke's eyes lit up. I still have the Azanen Theater, and I still have you. She looked at Lin Ke and said excitedly, I want to follow you. Puff. Lin Ke almost spurted out the milk that he was about to swallow, but fortunately he held it back. He looked at Lin Ke speechlessly. You'd better shut up. I don't. Lin Ke also knew that it was impossible and said with a smile, I want to be your wife. Lin Ke, there was no way to talk anymore, and the topic was back to square one. He finally managed to change the subject, but now he is back to the topic. By the way, Lin Ke, I'm building a city now. I would like to ask you to take care of Lin Ke's store in the kingdom of Gila. You also have a share in it. Lin Ke tried to change the subject. Okay, I'm your wife, and it is my duty to help my husband manage his property. Lin Ke smiled. Her green eyes were round and bright, and she was holding her chin in a simple and cute way, which was very beautiful. Lin Ke was speechless. He did not have much resentment towards Lin Ke, and he was not afraid of the difficulties that might arise from powerful parents like Wumian. However, he needed to recognize his true heart. Love is not desire, not a good match, not taking advantage of power and worshipping money. Love is love, as pure as family affection. If the time is really right, He will not deny his true heart, but before the time is right, he will not bow down for money. He has lived his whole life to live like a human being, not for material things. Therefore, he will not agree to liquor before he recognizes his true heart. Fortunately, at this time, there was a knock on the door. Master Lin Ke, are you there? Heishan's rough but gentle voice sounded outside the door. Madam Heishan. Heishan is finally here. Come in. Lin Ke immediately let her in. Young master. Heishan was exhausted and was surprised to see Lin Ke when he came in. He pounded his chest to show respect. Your Highness Lin Ke. Heishan is here. Lin Ke stopped pestering Lin Ke and went out very obediently. I'm going to find little John to make sour fruit cake. Lin Ke looked at Heishan and said straight to the point. How is the establishment of the Great Wilderness Bank going? The Great Wilderness Bank. This is something Lin Ke has been planning for a long time. Although the goddess of wealth is a neutral god and has no interest in dealing with Lin Ke, but since the goddess of wealth herself does not have a deep understanding of wealth, it is not Lin Ke's fault. In the previous life, the giant controlled one of the pillars of the world, which was finance. Lin Ke does not want the future financial and economic lifeline to fall into the hands of others. Master Lin Ke, this is difficult. Speaking of banks, Mrs. Black Mountain looked embarrassed. I have asked the employees, and they all prefer to hide their money themselves, rather than hand it over to the Temple of Fortune or us. Although the Temple of Fortune has businesses similar to savings and loans, it is extremely immature. One of the most important reasons is the exchange rate. The exchange rate of copper coins, silver coins and gold coins is 1 to 10, which is very simple and crude. However, the real purchasing power and real value are the most valuable gold coins. Therefore, everyone has gold coins and saves them, and will use silver coins and copper coins to exchange for gold coins. In the end, the Temple of Fortune had to reduce savings business. However, savings are very important. Did you tell me about the interest? Lin Ke asked again. The interest on savings is also an important attraction. I said it, but they don't believe it. Black Mountain shook his head. Many people are afraid that we will go bankrupt. After all, we are just a store. Don't believe it. Credit system. Lin Ke was also a little helpless. Whether it is or Force Wayne who is backing them, there is also a risk of falling. Most people actually know this truth. The most important thing about the monetary system is credit, and it cannot be used without trust. Okay, we can only talk about it after the Great Wilderness City is built. Lin Ke was helpless. How is the business of lottery, and paper? These are all things that make money. Now that Lin Ke is building a city, there are countless materials waiting for him to buy. Our resin and paper can make a profit of about 800,000 per month. The lottery can make a profit of about 6 million. The lottery can make a profit of about 12 million. And the total amount of gold coins after 70% of the shares are distributed to the royal family is about 6 million. Heishan gave Lin Ke a general introduction, and at the same time he was quite happy and said, my merchant has also successfully advanced to level 10, and this is all brought by you. 6 million. Lin Ke sighed slightly. How profitable were those industries in the previous life? Chapter 194 Taxation of Farmland and System. Heishan made so much money in a month. In the past 2 years, Heishan had accumulated a terrifying amount of wealth for Lin Ke. He even spent 1 million to buy a space ring to store these huge amounts of gold coins. But after making so much money, how come you are only at level 10 merchant? Isn't your courtier wealth? Heishan helped Lin Ke make so much money every month, but in the end, he was only at that level. Master, I was helping you make money, and the ideas were not mine, so I received less feedback. Heishan looked very satisfied. Master, don't think it's slow. After all, not everyone is like you, as dazzling as the stars in the sky. In Heishan's view, it was great to be promoted 1 or 2 levels. After all, only Lin Ke could lead people to promotion like this. Lin Ke gave some instructions about the store, especially about newspapers. Regarding newspapers, have you found them? Those professional authors, writers, and the like. Having a certain foundation is better than having no foundation. Otherwise, he would have to lead editors and reporters by himself, which would be quite tiring. Master, those who can work as authors are all nobles, and it is very difficult to recruit them. Hishin said, then changed the subject, and said with a smile, but I heard that Lin Ke was recruiting people, and I still recruited a poor noble, who is a 2nd level author, and a 5th level painter. Oh, not bad. Lin Ke nodded slightly. When will they get here? They will be here in 2 months. Hishin estimated they were recruited through the bulletin board in the store. Okay. Lin Ke said, regarding Lin Ke's store, if there is enough funds, it needs to be split into 3 stores. In addition, there is the issue of materials for building the city. He began to explain it to Hishin in detail. In the month of germination, all things revive. Azan suddenly announced that all tax collection models would be reformed. In the past, the lords of farms levied taxes very arbitrarily. When the harvest was good, the lords could take as much as they wanted. Some territories also have landing taxes, air taxes, etc., which are particularly unfriendly to farmers and merchants. For example, landing taxes mean that when merchants pass through the territory, anything that falls on the ground belongs to the lord, and the lord can ask for it according to his mood. The air tax, or wind tax, means that anyone who breathes in the territory is obliged to pay the tax. For example, the amount of air a merchant breathes from the time he enters here to the time he leaves depends on how much tax he has to pay. In short, there are countless strange tax laws. Lin Ke directly promulgated a new tax law in the name of Viscount Geros of Azan and Count Lin Ke. That is the 14 tax. Any intelligent life in the territory of Azan, and in the lava swamp, whether human or other races, must pay taxes, as long as they produce and consume. But the tax rate is not a casual talk, but must be unified. That is to collect 4/10. If you plow the land and produce 100 kilograms of grain, you have to pay 40 kilograms of taxes. If Lin Ke dared to do this in his previous life, he would step down in minutes. However, now Lin Ke is directly called the benevolent fool lord. This is the era of lords. How can a normal farmer be qualified to dispose of the grain he produces? It's good enough if it's not all confiscated. You have to know that the people of the territory are also one of the lord's properties. The lord's point of view is very reasonable, and even the people in the territory think it is reasonable. As my property, what's wrong with me taking some food from you? If you make me unhappy, I will take you in too, and take your parents in too, and then kill all your brothers and sisters to cheer you up. It's cruel, but it's true. Some people in the territory have been taught since childhood that the lord is everything to them. So, when the news of Lin Ke's forced implementation of the 14 tax system was released, some nobles who often paid attention to Azan began to discuss it. Lin Ke Azan, a rising star in the kingdom, who has become famous in the past 2 years, is known for his intelligence, kindness, and fearlessness. He is a noble with the glory of ancient nobles. But now in the eyes of some nobles, perhaps stupid should be added before kindness. Stupid kindness. Lord, the lord of the territory. Everything in the territory belongs to the lord. What's the point of deceiving yourself and making a set of tax laws like this? Especially when Lin Ke announced that the first decree of his newly built city Dahuang City was private property is sacred and inviolable. The nobles sneered. Private property? Sacred and inviolable? Funny. That clever child may have lost his brain during these 2 years of sleep. This was a comment made by an independent noble in the abyss, and he was also supported by many nobles. Some nobles laughed, and some lords laughed. An old and old-fashioned legendary professional expressed regret. He was also one of the Grand Dukes of Gila. That Earl is a child after all. Children are always kind and merciful, but when he finds that the storehouse of his castle is empty, he may change his mind. That's right, the lord's wealth is not the private wealth of those lowly people. It is unreasonable. Some sarcastic noble ladies also laughed unscrupulously at some banquets. Of course, there are different voices. For example, the new noble marquis in the south, the extremely powerful great sword lord, expressed different opinions in the abyss. You can't understand the intelligence of Lin Ke. A large part of the wisdom in my book Great Sword Military Law comes from Lin Ke. I think I wrote it in the book. The voice of the Count of Giant Sword. No, the Marquis of Giant Sword was sonorous and powerful. As a powerful noble with a territory and a private plane, his voice was more convincing than those ordinary nobles and ladies. Especially the book Great Sword Military Law. The Count of Giant Sword successfully changed his job to the profession of Grand Marshal with the feedback from this book. It can be said to be extremely powerful. Unexpectedly, this book came from Count Lin Ke. Most of these nobles who spoke out have not read the new work of the Marquis of Giant Sword, so they don't know this at all. Anyone who has read it knows how smart His Excellency Lin Ke is. He must have a deep meaning for doing that. The famous merchant, Count Acker, also spoke in support of the Great Sword. So the nobles of the entire kingdom of Gila began to quarrel over this matter. But that was the nobles. The civilians, ordinary people and some professionals who were fortunate enough to hear Lin Ke's decree were boiling. 14 taxes. Only 40% of the taxes collected out of 100. And private property is sacred and inviolable. Private property. Private. How desirable it is. During this year, in the cities of various territories, the store called Lin Ke's store was split into 3, one of which was called Notice Board. Many things announced by local lords and strange stories in the kingdom were announced here. When lords from all over the country heard that this was the industry of Lin Ke and Princess Rika, they were also happy to cooperate. As a result, many people like to come here to read it at 7 o'clock every afternoon and listen to others if they don't understand it. Lin Ke's Great Wasteland City laws are announced here as strange stories, and the civilians naturally have a yearning for this legendary Great Wasteland City where only 14 taxes are paid. 3 more chapters, 6k, will be added tomorrow. That means 10,000 words will be added tomorrow. Awesome. Chapter 195 Laplace's Regret. Ice City. This is a terrifying city, close to the Everfrizz Council, behind the Deep Blue family. This is the territory of the Ice family. The Ice family has only one strong man, the Ice Marquis, standing there, and there are many followers, each of whom is extremely powerful. The Ice Marquis also has an only son named Laplace, who is the most talented and hard-working genius in the Gila mathematics world. And today, this mathematical genius finished a whole set of math problems left by Lin Ke, and after reviewing the knowledge in them again, he came to the city with a kind of bully servant. Get out of the way. The noble, sacred, genius, and smart Laplace is coming. 2 evil servants cleared the way in front, and Laplace was protected in the middle. I said, no need to do this. My teacher said that, if you love the people will love you too, and no one will hurt me. Laplace was already 14 years old at this time. The whole person looked heroic and upright, with a frosty long hair and white pupils that were almost like ice cubes. People couldn't help but admire him as a beautiful boy. Master Laplace, these lowly people are very dirty, it's better to keep them apart. Do you remember what Master Lin Ke said? He said that people can also get that infectious disease. The lackey next to him nodded and bowed to Laplace. Infectious disease? Laplace raised his eyebrows and then helplessly said, okay, but you really have to be careful. My teacher's noble aristocratic character is what I need to learn. Also, you are not allowed to say that I'm smart in the future. I'm not qualified in front of his wisdom. Yes, Master Lin Ke is your teacher, and he is our great benefactor. Although Master Lin Ke is wise, you are also a genius second only to him, right? The lackey smiled. Ahem. Although others are indeed not as good as me, one of the qualities of aristocrats is humility. Laplace coughed twice. Ahem. Of course, I can see the back of Teacher Lin Ke, and few other people can see my back. Oh, no more. We are here. As he was talking, he had arrived at a store with a completely different storefront style from other places. 3 stores. On the left, it says lottery office. In the middle, it says paper products. On the right, it says notice board. There are a lot of people, a huge crowd, whether professionals, ordinary people or farmers coming to the city. They are all crowded there, making a lot of noise. At this time, a cry of surprise came. I won the prize. I won the prize. Reward me a silver coin. Ha 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 ha. I won the prize. I won the prize. It was a low-level professional who was dancing with joy, attracting everyone's surprise and envy. Fool, you bought 10,000 coins, and you only won once. You are so stupid. A little noble next to him mocked. Huh, then why do you want to exchange? You haven't won once yet. The low-level professional was not afraid of the little noble and directly talked back. What do you know? I'm going to keep my 200,000 coins. to buy the best as paper. That's Mr. Lin Ke's greatest invention. With that paper, I can record that skill and use it to restore the glory of my family. At this point, the man who was suspected to be a down and out noble had fanatical eyes. Mr. Lin Ke is so great. Compared with as paper, the damn animal skin paper made of monster skin is simply too expensive. Those leather makers are really greedier than dragons. Oh, praise His Highness Lin Ke. Yes, praise His Highness Lin Ke. The person who just won the prize felt a sense of resonance because of this sentence. He first praised him and then looked at the little noble and said, "But you have to know that I invested a total of 1000 gold coins and the harvest." It turns out that I received 1500 gold coins and this is only for this month. As he said this, the low-level professional who won the prize looked proud and the people around him were even more surprised. So the low-level professional smiled at the young noble and said, "Instead of saving slowly like that, why not take a gamble? Maybe you can get enough money all at once." Take a gamble? The poor noble had obviously just come into contact with the lottery and had no idea that it could make so much money. He was also humble and asked directly, "Excuse me, how did you do it?" He needed money so much. "How did you do it?" "It's very simple." The low-level professional smiled and said, "I buy double color bull lottery tickets and scratch lottery tickets every week and come to the lucky draw 10 times every day. Look, it's at the ticket office. Go and line up to buy it." The low-level professional thought ahead and raised his chin. The poor noble thought there was only the lottery, but he didn't expect there were so many ways to play the lottery, so he gritted his teeth and made up his mind to take a gamble. It's too dangerous to always go to the nearby frost forest to hunt monsters and sell them. It's better to come to the lottery directly. Laplace watched for a while and couldn't help rubbing his palms, ready to step over. Master won't let you draw the lottery. Master said that if you draw the lottery again, he will throw me into the frost forest. Master. The lackey next to him immediately stopped Laplace, looking panicked. Laplace couldn't help but sighed when he saw his new butler like this. Okay. Since he used 5000 gold coins to draw the lottery, most of the prizes he drew were thank yous for patronage, and a few were copper coins and silver coins. His father strictly forbade him to continue drawing the lottery. "Then let's go buy some paper. I need a few sheets of top quality paper to record the formulas I found in the exercises, and maybe order a sheet of top quality as paper. I think my teacher will like his birthday gift." Laplace smiled, then sighed again. If only the teacher hadn't fallen asleep. It's been 3 years, and I don't know when he will wake up. I want to do the questions. I want to learn. Laplace's servants knew that there were 2 teachers in Laplace's mouth. One was a mathematician who was doing research and teaching in the family and was a follower of the Marquis of Ice. The other one is His Highness Lin Ke, who is almost known to everyone in the kingdom. Originally, Lin Ke was not qualified to be called His Highness, but when Emperor Wumian made him the king of the entire lava swamp, he could actually be called Your Majesty. It's just that, because of his low level, he was still called His Highness in the end. But that His Highness has been in a coma for nearly 3 years, so that their master Laplace often feels regretful and angry. Unfortunately, at the last moment of the year, he was forcibly sent out by Lin Ke because he was the only son of the Marquis of Ice, and he had no choice. He was angry at himself because he felt that he did not help Lin Ke, and he was angry about it. You know, in the process of getting along with Lin Ke, Laplace and Lin Ke have become a teacher and friend. In his mind, Lin Ke's status has far surpassed others, second only to his father and deceased mother. Let's go buy some paper, and then go to the bulletin board after we buy it. Chapter 196 Eye-catching newspaper. The servants pushed aside the crowd to allow Laplace to enter the paper products store. The store was not as noisy as outside. Although there were many people inside, the structure was extremely spacious and people were talking quietly, so they did not disturb others. Laplace hired an architect with his own pocket money to build this place. After all, it was the property of his teacher and Princess Rika, so his father was very supportive. Seeing how quiet it was here, Laplace nodded with satisfaction, explained his purpose to the store manager, and asked him to deliver the paper to the castle before he was ready to leave. At this time, the tall and thin store manager who looked quite shrewd and capable, called Laplace in a low voice. Wait. Master Laplace, His Highness Lin Ke has awakened. His Highness Lin Ke has awakened. Awake. Laplace's pupils suddenly shrank when he heard this, and he screamed, "Andrew's leg!" The sound was so loud that many people looked over here in dissatisfaction, and when they found it was Laplace, they turned back at a faster speed. This is the ice city of the Marquis of Ice. Laplace was so excited that he pulled the store manager out and asked impatiently, after he ran out, "Lin Ke?" Teacher Lin Ke finally woke up. The store manager bowed. "Yes, master, Our Highness Lin Ke has woken up and sent you a message, but the message was delayed for a year. This is all because of my subordinate's poor work. I have..." Okay, don't talk nonsense. Where is my letter? Give it to me." Laplace was so excited that he didn't want to listen to so much. The store manager quickly took out a rolled up plant fiber paper from his purse and handed it to Laplace. Laplace took it and opened it impatiently and gently, fearing that he would damage the paper. There was a line of large characters written in the common language of Nassau on the paper. "Laplace, my friend, do you still remember the charge beside the great swamp?" "Yes, I woke up and everything is fine." This was the peace letter that Lin Ke had sent to the Marquis of Giant Sword, Count Acre and others, and also to Laplace. Laplace was watching, and suddenly tears rolled down his cheeks. Since he was a child, his father, the Marquis of Ice, who was of noble character, kept his chastity, did not marry a second wife for his lover, and had no illegitimate children, taught him. The reason why nobles are nobles is because of their noble character, virtues and thoughts, not arrogance, greed and stupidity. He has been working under the influence of the Marquis of Ice, but inevitably he has been infected with an arrogant temper, until he met Lin Ke. Lin Ke, in his heart, is a real noble. He does not look down on and despise servants and civilians, because of their low status. It is a kind of kindness to servants from the heart. Laplace can see it. Some people pretend to be very kind, but Lin Ke often shows kindness through some unintentional actions and behaviors. At the same time, Lin Ke will not feel inferior or try to please because of power, money, and identity and bloodline. Whether it was the very rich Princess Rika or the extremely powerful prince, Lin Ke did not bend his knees. At the same time, Lin Ke also has an extremely intelligent mind. During the few months Laplace was there, he felt that he was baptized by Lin Ke from the inside out, just like he was baptized by the elemental power of the five-colored dragon mother in the abyss. Even deeper, he was influenced by Lin Ke. Only then did he know what his father said about the character of the oldest nobles in the mythological period and ancient times. So, when he fled from Mazan, because he wanted to continue the bloodline of the Ice family, his heart was full of reluctance and guilt. He wanted to be like those followers of Lin Ke, following Lin Ke's back, waving swords and shouting charge at the irresistible existence. This guilt and reluctance did not disappear with the passage of time, but became more and more intense. When he was promoted, because of Lin Ke's teaching, when he was recognized by the public for doing good things, when he was praised for his noble character and intelligence, his guilt and unwillingness became even stronger. So he could only turn his guilt and unwillingness into motivation and work hard to learn all the knowledge about mathematics. This made him, at the age of only 14, the most dazzling mathematical genius in the kingdom of Gila, a 10th level mathematician. But he knew who all this came from. He also knew who the real mathematical rising star that he couldn't look at was. "Master, master, why are you crying?" The servant saw his master burst into tears and grabbed the tall and thin store manager next to him. "Why did you make our master cry? Tell me, what did you do?" "Okay Len Lieber, it's not the store manager's fault, let him go." Laplace took out a silk handkerchief to wipe his tears, waved away his butler, and then asked the store manager, "Is teacher Lin Ke in Azine now?" "Yes, our prince is in Azine." The store manager looked at Laplace and didn't know what to say. He was a little at a loss, so he could only say, "Master, Prince Lin Ke recently came up with something called newspaper. Do you need a copy? It only costs 3 copper coins. I'll take 10,000 copies." Laplace wiped his tears and waved his hand. "The money is in my family." In his opinion, Lin Ke's things must be supported, and I think his father will not refuse. The store manager was stunned. "What else does my teacher have?" I bought them all and collected 10,000 gold coins. I will use my pocket money this month as a gift to my teacher Sucrossing. Lapis asked again. No, master, why don't you take a look at this newspaper first? The store manager said, and ran back to the store quickly, then took out a square paper that was smaller than half of the standard ASIN paper and handed it to Lapis. Lapis took it and was immediately attracted by the cover of the paper. ASIN territory issues new decree. Taxes are changed from free taxes to 14 taxes. Below are lines of words which describe the general situation of ASIN's new decree. The whole page basically describes the situation of ASIN territory. Lapis, who was originally concerned about ASIN's situation, of course read it carefully and quickly. Could it be that the newspaper is specifically about ASIN's situation? Only the local residents of ASIN should be concerned. A trace of doubt flashed in Lapis's eyes. He looked at the smaller frame below this one, which read, "The latest photo stone of the Grand Priest Kanako of the Temple of Fortune is now on sale. The price is only 5 gold coins. Andrew's leg. Kanako's photo stone." Lapis felt his body react. 10,000 more words today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, Magic Tower. Build the Magic Tower. The second page of the newspaper was about the first chapter of a serialized story about a war in the Three Kingdoms Plain, and the author was Lin Ke. The entire second page of the newspaper was about the first chapter of the novel Three Kingdoms Plain. Lapis stood there and read it, fascinated. This story is worthy of being a teacher. Lapis knew how good Lin Ke was. Anyway, in his memory, there was nothing that Lin Ke didn't know. His Highness Lin Ke said that this story is a long-term serial, which means that it will be published in the newspaper every month. The store manager next to him explained. Okay. Lapis was still unsatisfied after reading it, but he was attracted by the fourth page of the newspaper. It was about the romantic affair of a necromancer, which was exciting and borderline. The author was a person named Red, and it seemed to be an independent story. Next, it was a current event. The Viscount Elk and the Viscount Reindeer started a 3-month war. The cause was actually. Lapis was naturally attracted by the title and read on. The Viscount Elk and the Viscount Reindeer had been arguing over a patch of wild peas at the intersection of their territories, and finally launched a 3-month war after submitting a war application. Each side selected 2,000 farmers from their territory to fight in a mountain, and they could only come out after 3 months. The side with more people left would win. It is said that both viscounts ordered their subjects that if they lost, it would damage the honor of the nobles, and in that case, all the farmers and their families would be killed. This is what the title of this page is about. Stupid and cruel. Lapis made a comment. After staying with Lin Ke for a long time, coupled with the education he received since childhood, he naturally looked down on such corrupt and stupid nobles. After reading this current event, Lapis's eyes were attracted to the next board. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Lapis read all 16 pages in 1 hour in a noisy and chaotic environment. And he was still savoring it after reading it. If the servant hadn't reminded him, he would probably continue to read it from beginning to end. This thing seems to be more interesting than mathematics. Lapis didn't know that in Lin Ke's previous life, there was a company called Dao, which made things that would easily make people watch videos for hours, which would modestly provoke people's desires, curiosity, sexual desire, desire to buy, etc. And it would also use big data precise algorithms to make you cry and laugh, angry and happy while watching videos. Lin Ke's newspapers just put various different information in a regular pattern. However, although it can't achieve the big data effect of the previous life, it is also very attractive to people. That night, Lapis showed the newspaper to his father, the Marquis of Ice. So, from then on, every month, the Marquis of Ice would ask someone to buy the latest newspaper. According to the people in the Ice Castle, his master even read it while taking a bath. Of course, Lapis didn't know either. because after he knew that Lin Ke had built a city in the Great Swamp south of Azan, he told the Marquis of Ice that he wanted to find Lin Ke, and he also obtained the Marquis of Ice's consent. So, he set off. Not only in the Ice City, but in the paper products stores of the entire Gira Kingdom, there are newspapers that are published once a month. As soon as this kind of newspaper was sold, it received great praise. No matter whether it was nobles or literate civilians or professionals, they all rushed to buy it. You know, the channels for obtaining information in this era are extremely scarce, which also caused everyone to like to join in the fun and like bards. After all, the new things that most people can know in their lifetime come from the poems of bards. The previous bulletin board was already very attractive, but after all, it was just some small announcements and a small amount of strange things from other noble territories. And now the newspapers are in large quantities. As a result, the newspapers were snapped up as soon as they came out, and even some giant cities were not enough to sell. Fortunately, the current Black Mountain Lady has several level 10 cuckoo birds, and the communication speed is extremely fast, so the paper-making houses in the entire Azan worked overtime to meet the needs of the Gira Kingdom for the first month. The feedback from the first month alone was enough to make the author who had surrendered to Lin Ke famous. He received 2 levels of feedback and successfully took on a part-time job as Lin Ke's newly created profession, reporter. So, with the profession of reporter, Lin Ke immediately enlightened and trained a group of reporters who were directly spread to various places to record and collect information. Then the newspaper of the second month had more pages and richer content, and the basic prototype of the newspaper, a 20-page newspaper, was basically finalized. In the third month, fourth month, fifth month, the nobles were used to it. At the beginning of each small month, they would ask the servants to go to the paper products store to wait to buy the latest issue of the newspaper. The information of the entire Gira Kingdom was no longer stagnant as before, but flowed rapidly. People in the north could know what interesting things happened in Azan and in the south, and people on the east coast could also know that the Grand Duke of the Western Mountains was recruiting guards. In short, the newspaper became popular all of a sudden. Especially later, after Lin Ke specially launched the monthly general report, local weekly newspaper and city daily newspaper, the newspaper became overwhelming. However, due to the low literacy rate, Lin Ke did not have a large output and always maintained a profitable level. In the end, it is said that even Emperor Wumian began to get used to reading newspapers, and it was only later that he learned that Princess Lin Ke actually had shares in the newspaper, but he just smiled and said nothing. And today, 4 years later, the 10-year-old Lin Ke finally decided to build a magic tower. Azan Castle. Lin Ke, have you decided? Garros looked at his son who was growing fast in height in front of him, and felt powerless. Isn't it powerless? Except for his lower level and martial arts value, his son is better than his father in everything else. In the past 2 years, from tax reform to newspaper development, from the invention of agricultural tools to the encouragement of trade, Azan is now completely different from the past. Driven by his son's so-called subjective initiative, the originally lazy farmer not only did not reduce the gold coins and food in Azan's warehouse, but it was almost full. At the beginning, his subordinates had all kinds of doubts about Lin Ke, including the nobles of Azan. After all, this was related to their lifeline. In the eyes of those Azan nobles, Garros, who was once domineering and cold, was like a little lamb in front of a dragon, gentle and cute in front of Lin Ke, a more terrifying and intelligent lord. After all, Garros was still abiding by the rules, while Lin Ke killed many nobles during the war for various reasons. So when Lin Ke issued a decree, those Azans did not dare to disobey and contradict Lin Ke, so they could only complain to Garros, the real king of Azan. Garros had doubts at first. After all, Lin Ke's approach was to reduce taxes. Why did Lin Ke say that doing so would actually increase taxes? As a result, reality taught Garros and the others a hard lesson. Those lazy and cunning farmers used to work without effort and were lazy. And now? They worked vigorously in the fields, and they could plow a lot of land in one day with the curved plow invented by Lin Ke. The grain output in the first year was more than 3 times that of the previous year, and several Azan's warehouses could not hold it. It couldn't hold it for a year, let alone 3 years. So after 2 consecutive years, Lin Ke encouraged trade again and sold all the excess grain in Azan's territory through Count Akali. This benefited both parties, even 3 parties, and multiple parties. In addition to these, there are also regulations on urban cleanliness, noble restraint regulations, intensive farming regulations, worker protection regulations, and so on. A series of regulations and decrees all prove the wisdom of the decision of Count Lin Ke, the young master of Azan. As a result, now even Garros, the father, can hardly raise his head in front of Lin Ke. He is not good at making money, government affairs, research, or art. Even in the matter of war, Garros also experienced the strategy of his son in the war with Viscount Mantis, which made the Marquis of Giant Sword admire him. He only used a bunch of straw men to borrow 5,000 elite magic arrows from Viscount Mantis, and returned them in the subsequent war, including things like making a feint to the east, and attacking in the west, luring the tiger away from the mountain, etc. Garros found that the only thing he was better than Lin Ke was strength, and this did not count Aofu. After all, Aofu now seemed to be leaning towards Lin Ke, and was no longer his simple and easy to deceive 19th level friend. As for the level, Garros was speechless about his son's talent. He had a fair bloodline, and Feudal didn't even have an enlightened bloodline. The two of them gave birth to an outstanding one. Of course, if he knew that Lin Ke's bloodline was actually Andrew level, he would probably be even more speechless. Now Lin Ke is only 10 years old, but he is already a 6th level scholar, and a 3rd level author, a 2nd level painter, and a 2nd level composer. He is also a 6th level knight, and a 2nd level commander-in-chief, a 1st level military theorist, and a 1st level staff officer. His own son is so terrifying. So, the cost of building the magic tower, Orf should have told you, right? When facing his own son, Garros always felt that he was as stupid as a wild boar. No, like a fat beast that only eats to grow meat. Yes, father. Lin Ke smiled and stood in front of Garros, looking confident and elegant. 4 years later, his height has reached 1.5 meters. And recently, it seems that, because of long-term drinking of milk, and no lack of nutrition, his height has tended to develop into a 2-meter giant like Garros. But his appearance has changed from cute to cute and charming. A head of natural brown curls is soft and thick, and the eyes have changed from the original black, bright, big and round to a little slender. It can be seen that he will be an elegant handsome man in the future. Okay, but you do so many things. Do you really have enough money? If not, I will go to that plane to plunder again. Garros asked again, with hope on his face. Really, no need, father. Lin Ke didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Your plane has been plundered by you, and you should manage it well for a few years. Lin Ke also visited the subsidiary plane of their Azan, which was the plane that trapped Garros for 5 months. That plane was guarded by Garros' troops. The entire plane was a continent about the same size as the lava swamp, and the entire continent was ruled by only one country. And what Garros did was to defeat that magic empire and then rule that country. So, he took whatever he wanted, and even planned to sell the faith represented by that small population. After all, there was no one in Azan who took the path of becoming a god. However, he really couldn't stand Garros' abuse, so he gave instructions a few times to make the people of that magic kingdom more obedient to Garros. Okay, but Garros wanted to say more, but was stopped by Lin Ke. Okay, father, I know what you are worried about. It's okay, it's really okay. Lin Ke comforted. Even if I poached the high priest Kanako from the Temple of Wealth and made her betray her faith, it doesn't matter. I told you that I would make her the new goddess of finance. Anyway, she has already fallen out with the goddess of wealth. Seeing that Garros was full of worries, Lin Ke couldn't help but say, the money for road construction will be deducted from the merchant tax, and the money for city construction will be deducted from Azan paper. In addition, there are lottery money, newspaper money, advertising money. Lin Ke counted on his fingers for Garros, dispelling Garros' doubts step by step, and at the end he didn't forget to remind, Auntie is 3 months pregnant, don't tell her about these troubles. You should also pay more attention to her, understand? And Tower is pregnant. It was Orf who discovered this first, and Lin Ke discovered it second. This made the entire Azan castle fall into a carnival. Speaking of Antao's pregnancy, Garros also became nervous and nodded desperately. Then he couldn't help but touch the two small mustaches on his upper lip. You have grown up and have your own ideas. I won't interfere with you, but remember to find me when you need it. Garros acted like a kind father. Lin Ke was speechless beside him. You have read too many novels. That was the character description I wrote. The character description. It's fake for you to act like this. Lin Ke, who was only 10 years old and became grown up in Garros's mouth, finally reported the situation and left. He looked at Antao, greeted Feudal, and led his followers to the direction of the Great Wall. Lin Ke, who was running wildly on the back of the bull, also emptied his mind. In the past few years, things have changed with each passing day. He couldn't fight and couldn't use his skills, but he could still meditate and practice. So his level soared to level 6. The higher the level, the slower the promotion. In addition, he took the time to use a huge amount of gold coins to buy the professional ratios of painter, author, and commander from the Gila royal family. Although he didn't work as a part-time commander, in the end, he could cover up his leader to some extent, making others think that he worked as a part-time commander. With so many professions at the same time, his promotion speed was still far beyond his peers. For example, Nyx, a talent with great potential, has a total of 13 levels of talent, and Nyx can be ranked 11th, which is already terrifying. But Nyx's level is only the 8th level, Doctor, the 8th level, Poison Master, and the 2nd level Knight. Moreover, Lin Ke, who has multiple part-time jobs, can now be said to have a lot of trump cards. His highest level is only level 6, and some 8th level professionals may not be able to beat him. It's just that he has been putting aside the skills because his body cannot be used for experiments yet, and he can only wait until it is fully nurtured. Lin Ke, who can't build skills and can't fight, naturally set his sights on building his own territory. When Garros said that the entire lava swamp was his territory, he had an inexplicable feeling. That feeling is similar to the feeling of having a home after becoming an adult and becoming independent and having to manage and build his own home. Now Lin Ke always feels like returning home when he comes to Azan Castle, but his real destination is actually the Great Wasteland City in the Great Swamp. The same is true for his followers. Yahoo! Going home at noon. I've been playing with those Azan women all afternoon today, and I'm sweating. Lalita cheered, straightened up on the cow's back, and opened her arms. Hey, what are you playing, wife? A rabbit man with a body about the same size as Lin Ke laughed next to him. This is the rabbit man Nyx. Go away, you men. Don't interfere in women's affairs, and don't call me wife. I haven't agreed yet. Lalita waved her hand in disdain. Nyx, Lalita looks down on you. I remember that you two didn't live together. Haha, is that not okay? Rami teased next to him, looking at everyone, elegant and calm. You can't do that, old man. Nyx didn't have the shyness of a child at all, but felt a little rebellious. Rami is not old. I heard that he secretly went to the Pink Street of Parrot City last time. John also interrupted. Lin Ke listened to the topic of the people behind him getting more and more off topic, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There are many dates for Nasan to become an adult. It is generally believed to be 18 years old, and some people believe it is 16 years old. But in many corrupt aristocratic families, sexual enlightenment can be achieved at around 10 years old. After all, blood and occupation will also have a certain impact on the body, and this impact is subtle. So there are many precocious people, and Lin Ke's followers are basically led astray by Lalita. They are very bad, and keep telling dirty jokes every day. Lin Ke's mind was empty at this time, but he did not join the followers frolicking. The road under his feet was built by the tribe led by the kings of Warcraft such as the Phoenix. The raw materials are cement from 3 cement plants, as well as some gravel, pebbles, etc. This road leads directly to the Great Wilderness City and the Great Wall Fortress, and from the Great Wall Fortress to the Azan Castle. All the monster tribes and trees in the middle were moved away by the Phoenix. And the most important thing is that the Great Wasteland City, which had just been completed for a month, has not officially recruited residents yet. Therefore, Lin Ke and his team can run wildly on this cement road that can accommodate 20 cars in parallel. After running wildly for a while, the city in front of them is already in sight. This city looks clean and tidy from a distance. 10-story houses are neatly arranged in a row, one row after another, and in the middle are spacious streets. Each floor of these houses has a balcony extending out, and some windows with transparent glass can be seen. There are also street trees planted on both sides of the road. There is a platform at the fork and intersection of each block. That is what Lin Ke left for the future traffic lights. Lin Ke divided his great wasteland city into several areas, namely commercial area, residential area and office area. In the center, his original plan was a large square. Now his idea has not changed much. He just wants to build another magic tower and undertake scientific research experiments. And it can also be made into a radio wave tower. The popularity of the newspaper reminded him of something that was even more popular, the radio. Newspapers are for people who can read. Radios can be listened to by everyone. The signal transmission tower can also serve as a magic tower, which can provide strong protection for the entire Great Wasteland City. But this is also very expensive. Magic towers, before the ancient times, were exclusive to magicians. But not all magicians can build them, only the most outstanding ones can. Now, it is not so difficult to build a magic tower, but that is only the lowest level magic tower. The magic tower has several major functions, the most basic of which is the owner's daily life. In ancient times, magicians came and went with countless servants and slaves, and the entire magic tower served the magician alone. In addition to daily life, there are also various functions such as defense against enemies, research experiments, and time and space anchors. The more complex and diverse the functions, the more expensive it will be. Like the mysterious old man he had visited before, the sky-high magic tower, he was sure that there was no such thing in the kingdom of Gila. I don't know how much manpower and material resources it took to build such a magic tower. Of course, it may also be a waste of a day's time of the legendary architect, and Lin Ke has higher requirements for magic towers. After all, we have money. One is to have a magic circuit, which can be used to make advertising screens and notification screens. The other is to have the function of transmitting electromagnetic waves. The transmission tower should be as far as possible. In this way, we can start to prepare for the research of radio. And Lin Ke actually has a strong sense of insecurity. Before he really became a legend, he was always just a pawn, at the mercy of others. What if the Emperor Wu Mian was in a bad mood one day and revoked the decree of the Great Swamp? Then Dahuang City would just play ball? Therefore, it would be a little more stable to build a powerful magic tower and let Ao Fu sit in charge. Running all the way, surrounded by dense jungles, Lin Ke and his friends finally arrived at Dahuang City. Above Dahuang City, a person floated in the air, with his arms open and his eyes radiating grey light. Pieces of stone, glass and iron pillars surrounded him under his control, and then condensed on the ground to form a floor. It was Architect Velen. These buildings were all built in this way. And now, Velen is building new buildings outside the city. Arena, entertainment venue and wonderful place. Today is the third and fourth time I have added more chapters. I will slowly update the rest. Chapter 198 The Great Library. The arena is an entertainment venue that Lin Ke specially came up with to inspire people's fighting spirit. In the future, all the fights will be held in the arena. The entertainment venue is a place where Lin Ke can provide services to residents. In the future, the residents of Dahuang City will all make a lot of money, and they need places to spend money to inspire their motivation. This entertainment venue is similar to a shopping mall, with clothing stores, restaurants, toys, and furniture stores. As for the wonderful land, it is a collection of various cultural entertainments such as dramas, concerts, and press conferences. As for the currency, as and coins are uniformly used. Taking the central square of Dahuang City as the origin, the y-axis is from south to north, and the x-axis is from west to east. The x-axis and y-axis are named People's Avenue and Asan Avenue by Lin Ke respectively. Among them, Asan Avenue leads directly to the Great Wall Fortress and Asan Castle. People's Avenue runs from west to east, implying the transition from darkness to dawn. On the neatly divided blocks, Lin Ke did not directly and roughly divide the first quadrant into commercial areas. He believed that scientific research and inventions were in the magic tower. The inner circle was the commercial area, where residents could come to the square for strolls, shopping, and consumption. Clothing and food sellers could all be found here. The second ring was the residential area, which was convenient for residents to travel back and forth between the second ring of the city. The third ring was the office area and infrastructure area, such as some schools, hospitals, and companies. The periphery was the industrial area, including paper mills, printing houses, etc., all on the periphery. Outside the city were huge and uniquely shaped buildings such as the Colosseum. The entire Great Wasteland City was planned in an orderly manner by Lin Ke. There was no chaos in an unplanned city, but it was full of the beauty of order. Lin Ke, you are here. Architect Velen saw Lin Ke and others slowly landing. Velen was happy when he saw Lin Ke. Very happy, very, and extremely happy. 4 years ago, he was only level 10. Now, he is already level 15. The child of his old friend Geros is simply a blessing to him. Neat buildings and novel reinforced concrete structures, with spacious interior designers, outdoor designers, landscape designers, and urban planners. It's terrifying. When Lin Ke threw out a bunch of career guesses, to be honest, Velen almost knelt down. Although he was tempted by these careers later, he chose to become Lin Ke's follower. As a result, he quickly grew to a level 15 existence. After all, building a large city of millions of people alone, the feedback is immeasurable, which directly pushed his bottleneck to the level of 18. After that, Lin Ke proposed a unique arena, sky garden, wooden palace building, etc. He is now building these unique buildings on the edge of the city. Thank you for your hard work, Velen. Lin Ke pulled the reins and asked the Giller NIU to stop. Looking at Velen floating in the air, he was very satisfied. This is free labor. Lin Ke only needs to pay for the raw materials, and Velen will solve the rest directly. If real estate merchants in the previous life only had to pay for some raw materials like Lin Ke and didn't have to pay for the wages of construction workers and engineers, then the top 10 on the rich list would probably have to be replaced. It's not hard, it's fun. Haha, haha, haha. Velen didn't feel tired at all, but was very happy. It's right to follow you, kid. It's my honor to be followed by you. Lin Ke returned the gift sincerely, and then looked at the building next to him and asked, is this the big library? By the way, are the garbage treatment plant and sewage treatment plant built? Okay, I think your protection of nature will definitely be appreciated by the wrath of the giant tree school. Velen praised. As for the big library, I can also build it in the next 2 days. Although Lin Ke was curious about the outside forces, he didn't ask much. Now his center and focus are on construction. Well, the great library must be transparent. If there is not enough glass, tell the Flamingo Glass Factory. Most of the Phoenix's relatives have gone to work in the factory. Lin Ke explained, while slowly driving the Gila Bull forward, and Velen floated gently beside him. The followers behind him quieted down, listened carefully to Lin Ke's arrangements and descriptions, and remembered them in their hearts. The sound of da echoed in the empty city. The great library will be one of the pillars for us to establish an immortal heritage. It is necessary to make every iron bar engraved with the secret code of solid, reliable, and tough. Regarding this aspect, John, how are the two secret code masters thinking about it? Lin Ke looked at John, who was half a body behind him. Master, they are still considering it. It may not only be the factor of gold coins. They may be worried about the issue of promotion. John's face was a little ugly when he said this. Oh, you didn't tell the two twin sisters about binary, programming, and procedures? Lin Ke was curious. Secret writers are simply natural programmers, information engineers, and programmers. They often need to add various powers to a character and adjust the properties of the characters so that the characters can be engraved on objects to form secret texts. If an nascent version of the computer, no, a magic brain comes out, it will be amazing. I said, I wrote down the young master's original words and gave them to them, but they seemed to be more worried because of this. John frowned and didn't seem to understand. His young master is so smart, wise, great, handsome, brave, and righteous. Those two secret writers actually questioned his young master. The young master is not wrong. It must be those two secret writers. More worried? Well, maybe I can let them come to see me after a while. After all the wonders outside the great wasteland city are built. Lin Ke nodded slightly. He didn't know what the professional trait ratio of the secret writer was, nor did he know what the core traits were and how this profession worked. But since it didn't match the programmer he imagined, it was probably his fault. It seems that I need to purchase the professional characteristics of secret scribe from the royal family later. Lin Ke thought about it casually and then turned his attention back to the construction of the great library in Dahuang City. By the way, villain, do you know professions like carpenter and blacksmith? I think I need to make a lot of furniture and tools. It was not until he started building the city that Lin Ke realized that he didn't just need a combat profession, but also professions from all aspects of life. And these professions have a characteristic, that is, most of them are only employed by nobles. Ordinary civilians, very few lucky ones, will choose those, and most of them choose combat professions and then get promoted in battle. For example, blacksmith needs a lot of feedback from forging tools. Many people can't survive, so how can they have extra money to buy related things to forge iron? Of course, things like blacksmiths are different. Those who have skills and techniques may not choose combat professions. After all, their skills determine that they have a higher risk tolerance than ordinary civilians, so they can choose non-combat professions. Now, when Lin Ke was building the city, he really didn't think much about these professions. It's okay to cultivate them slowly by yourself, but buying a profession is much more expensive than buying a professional, and the time period is too long. Lin Ke is in urgent need of talents from all walks of life. Master Lin Ke, I remember that your tool city is to sell weapons, tools, furniture and the like, right? I do have some good friends of the dwarves, but they have declared neutrality and will not join any force. There was regret on Velen's face. Those forces that declared neutrality would not participate in any fights, but would just live in peace in a small piece of land. Lin Ke also sighed when he heard this. Chapter 199 The Best Aerial Mount. Lin Ke needs talents. But the city has not been built yet, and it is not time to open it. But Lin Ke is already building momentum. Countless young people, middle-aged people, and old people in the kingdom of Gila are yearning for the great wilderness city. Whether it is civilians or nobles, whether it is professionals or ordinary people, whether it is humans or other races, everyone is looking forward to it. Even the news about the Great Wilderness has spread to other forces such as the Holy Life Alliance and the Everfrizz Council. However, for the entire Nathan continent, although Lin Ke's actions are eye-catching, all races attribute this credit to Wumian. In their view, this is an internal matter of Gila, but the Azanan family will remind some ancients of myths and ancient times. Of course, this is useless. The Azanan of the mythological era has long fallen, and the current Azanan is just an ant. In the mythological era, the ancient era, the medieval era, and the recent ancient era, which era did not have many heroes? Azanan. The strong don't care, but the civilians, or ordinary intelligent beings, still care a lot. It's just that the long distance makes those intelligent beings without jobs stay away. But they still envy everything described in the newspapers they got from Gila. What a beautiful great wasteland city. It is clean and tidy. There is no fesses or sewage on the streets. It looks like neat blocks put together. It is beautiful and happy. There are many new and novel things to buy and sell there. It is free and open. Any race can live there, as long as they abide by the city's regulations. Even nobles cannot do whatever they want. It is safe and orderly. Under the dual supervision of the two legendary Lord Swain Azan and AOF, no one dares to touch it. The descriptions of the great wasteland city that appear from time to time in the newspapers really make people envy and yearn for it. Therefore, even if 99% of intelligent beings cannot come here to live, the remaining 1% is not a small number. A large number of people from the kingdom of Gila and a small number of intelligent beings from other forces in other regions are also rushing to the great wasteland city. There are millions of new people in the various cities of all sizes in the territory of Azan alone. These people almost squeezed all cities to expand. Fortunately, the Viscount Mantis has now become a dead ghost under the Garrow's lance, and the Viscount Mantis territory has naturally become the territory of Azan. This is just enough to accommodate so many people. However, Lin Ke is not going to let all these people who come with various purposes into the Great Wasteland City. It's very simple. He has to go through the screening process. That is, political review. Those who are extremely vicious, those who don't obey management, those with impure purposes. Finally, those who are screened through layers can become residents of the Great Wasteland City. And they have to issue an ID card that contains the special lore and the soul of the owner, which Aofu has worked hard to make for Lin Ke day and night. There is only one ID card per person. Only with an ID card can you do many things, such as entering a wonder, which requires the induction of the ID card. For example, the ID card will also store Azan coins. The specific amount can be checked at the Great Wasteland Bank, and it can also be used in some stores at ordinary times. All these are created by Lin Ke, completely different from the things of Nasang's current era. These ideas and plans not only impressed his followers, but also Orth, Garrows and others. At this time, the day when the Great Wasteland City, including the wonders, was completely completed was approaching. Within a few months, Velen had built the wonders, and also laid the foundation of the magic tower. The next step was the foundation. Velen was sure that, if he completed the magic tower alone, he could get the 3rd level feedback and directly push the bottleneck to the 18th level. Of course, he knew that this was impossible. Lin Ke was about to open the city, so he gave it to him to do the work slowly. Velen estimated that Lin Ke would offer a large reward and hire those architects to come and build the magic tower. However, when Hishan arrived with 7 or 8 space rings worth more than 100,000 gold coins, Velen almost knelt down to Lin Ke. Valoon, these materials are for you. I think we have discussed the specific construction structure enough. Now, let it become a new magic tower standing in Nasang. Lin Ke handed the rings to Valoon, patted Valoon on the shoulder, and smiled. Lin Ke, this is really left to me alone. Valoon was stunned at first, then raised his eyebrows. I want to condense the magic tower. Even if I go all out, it may take 3 to 5 years, and this is without any accidents. 3 to 5 years. However, Lin Ke did not think as Valoon imagined, but answered without hesitation. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Of course, our own tower must be built by our own family. Our own family. Valoon has been wandering around the lords and nobles of the Gila Kingdom for a long time. Garrows is just one of his more admired friends. But now facing Garrows' son, his nominal lord, he couldn't help but tears up. If he guessed correctly, this is the feeling of home. It's settled. The Great Wilderness is his home. His second home will definitely not be destroyed like the first one. He must do his best to build the magic tower. Lord Lin Ke, I will do my best to build the Great Wilderness Tower. Velen replied to Lin Ke in a rare solemn tone. Lin Ke didn't know why Velen suddenly got excited, but being motivated is a good thing, so he didn't say anything. They were sitting in a corner of the square at this time. There were some stone chests and go boards placed here, which were just suitable for people who were tired of walking to sit down and rest. After Lin Ke finished talking to Velen, he whistled at the sky, and a colorful big bird fell from the sky and opened his mouth to say a human word. Lin Ke's father. Lin Ke's father. This big bird was Lin Ke's warcraft pet Xiao Xingyan. Lin Ke touched Xiao Xingyan, who was nearly 1.8 meters tall, lovingly, and then turned over and rode on it. Xiao Xingyan is now approaching adulthood. Xiao Xingyan, who has the blood of Thunder Sea Eagle, Phoenix and Destiny Parrot, has infinite potential. You should know that these 3 are all races with legendary warcraft kings, and each of them is extremely powerful. The little parrot Phoenix bloodline is the strongest. After a few years of growth, Xiao Xingyan has the strength of a level 5 Phoenix. Xiao Xingyan, go to Nyx and Lalita's garden. I have something to find them. Lin Ke patted Xiao Xingyan on the head gently. Xiao Xingyan immediately flapped his wings and took off. Let's go find Nyx. Xiao Xingyan's voice was clearly that of a little boy. Lin Ke has almost nourished his body in the past few years, and it is estimated that he will be fully recovered in a few years. By then, Xiao Xingyan will be his best aerial mount. Xiao Xingyan, who was raised since childhood, is very close to Lin Ke, and Xiao Xingyan's powerful bloodline can completely withstand Lin Ke's more powerful leader bloodline power. Simply put, in the air, Lin Ke is invincible at the same level. No more updates today. Chapter 200 The Fiercely Competitive Citizen Selection. Lin Ke took advantage of his luck and landed in the villa area. Lin Ke also divided the residential area into different types, including flats, duplexes, and villas. In addition, there are single-person apartments, 2-bedroom and 1-living-room apartments, 3-bedroom and 1-living-room apartments, etc., which can fully meet various needs. Absolute equality is not desirable. If everyone can live in the same house and live the same life, then there is no point in working hard. The equality that Lin Ke wants to give is to give the same treatment after the same work in the same labor, impartial and equal. Of course, the current villas are purely for the welfare of followers. Ha ha ha. Xiao Xingyan landed on the balcony of the villa and called twice. Nix, Lalita, come out. Lin Ke called out. After waiting for 5 minutes, Nix and Lalita, who were disheveled and had messy buns, came out, and Lalita's face was still red. Ahem, that. The two of them were at a loss for words for Lin Ke, and they coughed twice before saying, by the way, Nix, is the hospital ready? Nix was not embarrassed at all, and his ears drooped behind his head. Yes, Mr. Lin Ke, the nurses are in place, and my 2 apprentices have also successfully taken up the job of doctor and pharmacist. Everything is ready. Okay, what about the stores in the business district? Lalita, are the store managers and clerks in place? Lin Ke asked Lalita again. Yes, handsome young master. Lalita was affectionate and gentle to Nix at this time, and she was also a little gentle to Lin Ke. Lalita and Nix got together just a few months ago. They even lived together. Lin Ke was also very pleased that the two of them could be together. It's just that it is said that Nix has inherited the 3-second physique of rabbits. Of course, Lalita doesn't mind. They are very happy. Okay, tomorrow, the citizen selection will begin tomorrow. You guys should prepare well here. Lin Ke gave instructions and reminded them of some precautions. Nix and Lalita also listened carefully. After all, the influx of citizens will definitely be very busy, and hospitals and shopping malls are very important. The second is the city hall where John is. City hall, hospital, shopping mall. These novel and practical building names were all created by their young master Lin Ke. As a follower of Lin Ke, we can't embarrass Lin Ke. By the way, Nix, do you have any idea about your latest skills? Lin Ke asked Nix. Nix has reached the level of 8th level, doctor, but the 3rd skill has not been constructed yet. His first skill is herbal treatment, the second skill is sterilization and detoxification, and the 3rd skill is still under consideration. His first skill of Poison Master is Li Jiang, which comes from the toxicity of Li Jiang grass, and the second skill is Hanglian, which comes from a snake venom that causes a continuous burning effect. Thanks to the microscope invented by Mr. Lin Ke, I recently discovered that clover actually has a very conspicuous concentration factor, and I'm considering using this factor to build a skill. Nix explained. When used in treatment, I can make patients feel at ease and concentrate, and Ms. Tao's problem of not being able to sleep will also be solved. When used in attack, it can make the enemy sleepy. Sleep. Lin Ke nodded slowly and approved Nix's idea. If these 2 skills appear, they should be very useful. Okay, then I'll go and see the citizen selection situation first. You can also go and have a look when you have time. Don't make any mistakes. Yes. Okay. Outside Parrot City, the registration point of Dahuang City. Originally, the registration point should have been in the city, but the whole street in Chengli was crowded with people. So John had to put the registration point outside the city. This caused a long queue outside the city. If Garros hadn't brought the army to maintain order in person, it is estimated that a riot would have occurred on the scene. Under Garros' personal supervision, the registration of Parrot City was carried out in an orderly manner. Not only Parrot City, but the entire territory of Azanan was filled with people. Azanan was very big, about the same size as a province in Lin Ke's previous life, but the city was only that small, and the number of applicants was nearly 2 million. The number of people that Dahuang City could eventually accommodate was only about 1 million. And 99% of the applicants were civilians, vagrants, etc., and only a very small number were downtrodden nobles, professionals, and foreigners. This was enough to show the attraction of Dahuang City. Of course, the most indispensable thing among them was the description in the newspaper. The registration lasted for 2 days. When the registration was over, the staff was exhausted, and they had to deliver the registration forms to Azanan Castle without stopping. At this time, outside the castle, looking at the piles of registration forms, everyone was speechless. Finally, it was Lin Ke who clapped his hands and said loudly, "Okay, let's get started. We will try to finish the screening within 2 days." He looked at one of his followers and said, "Laplace, thank you for your help." Laplace was already very handsome at this time. He nodded after hearing Lin Ke's order, then walked to the pile of registration forms and opened his arms. But a burst of mathematician power came, and Laplace, who had been promoted to level 12 with the help of Lin Ke, waved his hand and saw a series of characters flying out from his head. X plus B x plus bx plus c. The 3 equations shone brightly and sent out waves of mental shock waves to the outside world. This time it was the turn of Orf, who was standing behind Lin Ke. Orf paused the thunder staff, and some tiny magnetic soil and metal flew out from the ground and attached to the registration forms. As a legend, there were only a few million registration forms, which was easy to control. Registration forms flew in front of Laplace one by one. Laplace only glanced at the application form and read all the contents, and then spoke quickly. Or aloud. Ministry of Agriculture. Ministry of Industry. Not allowed. Ministry of Law. Or allowed. City Hall. Not allowed. Application forms passed by Laplace like water, and nouns came out of his mouth one by one, and then the application forms flew to other people next to him. Laplace only needs to glance at the content of the application form to quickly judge whether a person can be a law-abiding citizen, and analyze what kind of work this person is suitable for, and then distribute it to others for selection. The Ministry of Industry is a few workers headed by Watson. The Ministry of Law is Bald Jack and his men, and the City Hall is John and some clerks. The Ministry of Commerce is Ms. Black Mountain and her own subordinates. The Ministry of Culture and Entertainment is Lalita, Rama and Sophie, and other people from the Azan crew. And the Ministry of Research is the researchers headed by Granny Hisei. They have to initially screen out the talents they need from these application forms, whether they are professional talents or civilian talents. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.